Don't Unfriend Me Nation. What are we?
I figure we'll do this. Kind of put that right there. Let everybody kind of get on and
perfect.
Get everybody clicking. Actually, I don't like that. Let's do this. So they know we're here. Let's see. Did I resave it? It might say the old.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you.
That should be good.
Good morning, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. What are we?
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
I guess I should have taken down the logo on the
What? Ooh.
Why did we change sides?
I don't know.
You're not listen. Nobody puts me in the corner.
We got to put Matt in the corner. That's what happens.
The hell's going on? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Instagram, let me know. Holla. Let me know if it's working.
The Instas, I forgot about that.
Yeah, let's see if Instagram's working. I'm reaching out to people. I'm like, working, joined, is it up? Everyone let me know.
Oh, I just joined it, so yes, it is. Oh, now it's feedback. Yes, it is on there.
It's on. Is it streaming?
It is. I just clicked on it and I got a bunch of feedback, so I exited out. But
it's not showing me. Dumb Show live. Come on now.
It's showing live on mine.
Hold on.
All the technical things. Gotta love it.
So
perfect.
So this guy goes, a cute little right-wing circle joke going on here. Wash your hands when you're done, boys. And he's talking about the Elon Musk video. And the guy uses like 47 commas. And I said, you sound jealous. And he goes, nope, I prefer large dicks. And I said, so does your mom. Did she like breakfast?
Where was this at?
This is over on the Elon Musk video over on Facebook. But he's like, I prefer large dicks. And I said, so does your mom. Did she like breakfast?
Oh, God.
Yeah, so I'm going to ban him before he can answer. Block user. Hold on. Block. See, that's when you block people. You don't block people because you're afraid to talk to them. You block them because you're going to annoy the shit out of them.
Yeah, that's
just drive them crazy. Like they're going to be like, oh, no, I'm going to create a second account. I'm going to pay this guy back. And I'm just like, dude, thank you. I love it. Looks like Instagram's working, I guess.
Yeah.
It's showing live on EG, but I can't see it. I got to see it or it doesn't exist.
Do you want me to get back into it so you can see it?
Yeah, I just need to see it.
Oh, it shows like that though.
It's showing live on EG, but I can't see it. How stupid. It's
showing the middle third.
Let me figure out how I can fix that. Hold on. How can I fix that for my Instagram viewers? Because that's important. Oh, I got it. I got it. Watch this. We can make this happen. This is great. And Facebook people are going to hate it, but I don't care.
All right.
There we go.
It should pop up here in a second.
Look at that. That's going to solve the problem.
Oh, there you go. Now it's popping up.
Look at this. Dude, solving the problem.
Done.
And now you get two mics and two mats.
What else do you want in the morning?
I mean, there's nothing else more important than that. I mean, we can deal with this, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
should we have to deal with this? I mean, should we just say Instagram, suck it? Instagram people, let us know. Go ahead and turn that down because we're getting some feedback. All right, so you need to let us know. So everyone tell us. If this is horrible, tell us now. Nobody's used to us being on at 10 o'clock. This is going to take a little bit of time for everyone to find out.
It's going to take a little bit.
Okay, here we go. Oh dear, I feel like okay. I don't know what Melanie's talking about. I'm still waiting to get some feedback. Is it this annoying? I mean, maybe we shouldn't do the show in 9x16 from now on. No, not for Instagram. We start getting a lot of viewers. Let's just see if we can get a couple more people on and tell us how bad it is over on Instagram. That's weird that you can see it, but I can't see it.
And I don't understand why it zooms in that far to just the middle of the screen.
Yeah, that's annoying. Instagram has to fix this. Okay, I'm not getting any answers. Okay, people, we know that there's not a ton on yet, but if you're typing, we need you to know, how annoying is this? Having the two...
I get it. It's workable and it's fine. So
I don't like the word it's workable.
That good enough for government work is
That's
not,
like when you sleep with a Taiwanese prostitute and you don't have a condom and you're like, a glove's workable. A glove's workable. No, it's not workable. I don't think so. All right. Well,
it's one of those that works. We'll have to figure it out. But
see, I just don't know if I can handle it.
I'm gonna assume probably not. So
it's getting my OCD. Not bothering me. Some people say it's fine.
Ooh, we got a 6 out of 10. Thank you, Kirsten. That's a
all right. Let's just. What's the Instagram account? I can't find it. Sharp, go over to it's at the Dumb Show, all social accounts. Let me know what you think. We just got approved for Instagram Live. I'm not horribly. Oh.
What?
Oh. Why can't we just simulcast?
See,
why can't we set up an iPhone to record us
while it's going on?
And they don't get the screen, but they get the general gist of it.
That would probably work. Write that down.
That's more work. All right. Well, to the Instagram followers, it's good to have you over here. Listen, the one thing I do is I love my Instagram team. They're loyal. They're good people, and they keep it going for 717 followers, which is ridiculous because Instagram hates me. The followers over there are awesome. So we're gonna keep it streaming like this for a little bit. If you have an Instagram account, you have a Facebook account, you can come on over and see us. You can also go to Spreely.tv and go see us, which is great because you can go to if you wanted to. I can't get out this window. Oh, we have a lot of people on Instagram now. Now there's like 15 on. If you go over to thedumbshow.com, so if you're kind of like, well, you know what, Matt, I don't want to watch it over there. You can go over here live. By the way, we also have a news section, which is I'm going to be updating daily, where you can get your news and some of the articles that I've written. So you can go on over there, which will be cool. Minus ads, I apologize. But if you go to the live show and you click it, right here, you'll see the Matt and Mike show live. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. There you go.
How nice is that? You can leave comments over here. Sarah says it's amazing. And then I can say no.
Nope, try again.
You're amazing. No, you're amazing. So the HDMI. So we can chat there. Usually Olivia runs that. Mike doesn't know how to multitask.
That's too many windows for me. It's hard enough to look at Facebook and YouTube. You want to add another one on for me?
Yeah. But you can go see all of our old videos are there. You can see the entire catalog. Look at it. Look at this. Look at this history.
That's a couple of them.
That's just history. You can go see all of our videos. You can go to the shop. You can go see. We have a wonderful clothing selection. This badass, and you people need to take advantage of it. But go down there and get some clothes. Get 10% off using code DUMB10. And there's not much we don't have. Like, Mike, what would you like? Just pick a product, something that you would want.
Oh, let's go for coffee.
Oh, really?
That's
wow,
totally.
That's amazing, dude. That you picked coffee.
You know how many times I've drank coffee in my life?
I'm so glad you didn't say like. I'm so glad you didn't say like dish soap. You want coffee? We've got great coffee. We've got the mugs. We've got everything. This is all veteran made. We've got the Fuck Joe Biden coffee, which is a light roast with a caramel and honey undertone.
Do you get a hint of sniffing?
No, you get
like.
You
do you want to sniff something after that?
If you sniff it, you get subtle undertones of honey. You get subtle undertones of a little bit of cinnamon, and children.
Okay,
So
I was waiting for it.
It's the Joe Biden. It's the Joe Biden coffee, all made and dedicated to you. It's good stuff, man. Our coffee. Listen, we may not have the size and the audience of Black Rifle, but we're drinking milk. We're growing. All right, now
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't
all right, there we go. Sorry, it just really wants to talk to us. All right, let's get to it. We've got enough people on. Looks like Instagram's doing well. I got quite a few people on. All right, so let's do this. Let's start off with a voicemail that we got.
Oh yes, this is going to be good.
This is important. By the way, Instagram people, don't feel like afraid to say hello. Treated. Look at this. I got 3 followers out of this. This is wonderful. 4. I guess live on Instagram is the way to go. Good to have you. All right. Well, this is Mike. Mike is United States Marine Corps. What else? What else should we talk about? Plays hockey.
Yep.
Likes to go hunting.
Hunting is amazing. Anytime you can get out in the woods, get away from people, that's my jam.
He is definitely vibing and imbibing the Yellowstone look from, what's the guy's name?
Rip.
He's got the Rip thing going on.
Oh, I've already told my wife because like her go-to celebrity is Kevin Costner.
Right.
So if she wants to go get the Yellowstone, I'm all for it. I support it.
Wait. She has a crush on you?
Oh yes.
You want to tell her something exciting?
What's that?
He went to my high school.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, my aunt knows him.
You got a number? Because
I'll see what I can do.
All right.
I mean, I can't promise anything.
That would be the best Christmas gift. You can get her right there.
Yeah, he went to Boyna High School. I didn't get to go to Boyna. I went to Ventura, but it's the same thing. We all played football against each other and everything else. But same neck of the woods. But he knows my aunt, and everybody knows somebody. But who cares? And what else did we miss about Mike? That's pretty much it. There's not much else.
Yeah,
you're not missing anything else.
I'm not missing nothing. I don't know what you would be talking about.
Right. So, as in Mike, by the way, is a double amputee. I'm a single amputee because I was 18 inches and they had to do a penis reduction. So now I'm at 12. So,
and then you woke up for your dream when?
I don't know if it's a dream more than just like, I can see it could be other people's dreams, but it's my reality, Mike.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
you can,
We'll snap you out of it here at some point.
Kind of funny. My hair is I've actually started combing it to the side. I'm old enough to be distinguished. And
you know what? I think we need to do a poll. Should Matt do frosted tips? Because I want to go back to the 90s because he's got that look right now.
I'll frost my tip in a place that is very uncomfortable. What, a Volkswagen? No. Oh, not a Volkswagen. We've got a little voicemail that came across that I think is important to play to y'all, and I think you'll find it a little funny. You guys may have heard of Dominic Izzo. Does everyone know who Dominic Izzo is?
I mean, we played him a few times on the show.
We have.
They should know who he is by now.
But we like to recommend Dominic Izzo, and we do this because we think he provides a good quality program. Now, how would you put it? It's colorful.
It is colorful. It is a no bullshit. Like this is exactly.
You can't say bullshit on the radio. God damn it.
We're on the radio.
Sorry. I blasphemy. Nah, that's something we don't do here.
Both of us do have a face for radio, so it does work out.
Speak for yourself. I think. All right, but go ahead. Dominic Izzo.
So he's one of those guys that and I love it when you can just tell that there's people who have been cops, and then there's beat cops.
Right.
And you can tell he is a beat cop that ain't taking no shit.
Yep.
He's one of those guys that if you're ever doing something wrong and he shows up, that's going to be your worst nightmare because you're going to get taught a lesson and then you may or may not get arrested or whatever is going to happen. So one of those guys that's just going to tell it how it is going to call out the stupidity that is going on in this world. And he does a lot of police videos and the good, the bad, the ugly with all of that. So no, he is straight raw emotion.
He likes to use certain words.
It is not for the faint of heart.
No, he's not.
If my mother watches that, do not watch that show, because I already got a talking to for this show, and it's like, well, good luck. That's how it is. He's a lot worse. So don't.
What did she say? I got to hear that. You didn't tell me this.
Well, I just found out, and she apparently gives caveats now when she tells people. It's like, oh yeah, my son's doing the show, but forewarning, I didn't raise him up like that. But you're gonna hear some words.
Oh my gosh!
That they
really? Does your mother hate me?
No, she doesn't hate you. She just knows how we are, especially when we get into the military thing and we start dropping bombs.
Your mother hates me.
No, she doesn't.
She sounds like she hates me.
No, see, I think you're taking that one the wrong way. It's just more of...
she's like, you corrupted. Of all the things a Navy guy corrupts you, give me a fucking break.
That's where when she goes to church, it's like, yeah, you can listen to this podcast, but don't bring this back here.
Oh my gosh! All right, so your mother hates me.
Yes, totally.
That's wonderful.
That's what we got out of that.
I'm sorry. I was doing an Instagram thing so everyone can see it here. We'll do it in the middle there. Hello, Instagram. All right, so everyone,
so fancy.
Little things, right? It's just the little things. It's the little touches in this show. All right, so a long story longer. Good morning, Kevin. What's going on, buddy? Your mother hates me. I can't have any more women in my life who hate me. I mean, there's already enough. My daughter, my wife, my mother-in-law, now your mother. I mean, seriously, bitches gotta hate. What's up? I mean, maybe that's the reason. maybe
there's one common denominator out of all of that.
You're an asshole. So this is about Dominic. As to make a long story longer, we received a voicemail from a fan who sounds like a very loyal and ardent fan of our show, which I completely understand. I mean, all 12 of them decided to leave voicemail. We're still trying to figure out who this is, but you have to listen to it. It's pretty poignant, and I must warn you that it gets a little melodramatic. So here is the voicemail. Enjoy.
Hi, I was calling for the dumb show. Listen, I am a long-time listener of the show. It is just the best show on radio right now, or whatever production we're doing it at. Listen, the other day you mentioned this person that you wanted me to listen to as one of your listeners, this Dominic Izzo. Matthew, you have such a great audience. So many of us love you, and you forwarded us to this vile, disgusting, vulgar, just icky man. His stupid show. And I want to let you know, as a lawyer listener for the dumb show, I refuse to listen to that man. He is selfish. He is a narcissist. He reminds me of my ex-boyfriend, Timothy. Timothy would never let me top. It was always...
Do you think it's your mom on the phone?
I was just going to say, it sounds like a grandma.
It sounds like your mother called.
I mean...
She's talking about me, but she's using like Dominic Izzo as a placeholder.
You know, just to get at you. That's all we're trying to do here.
This is what it's always about anyway. It's always about me.
Hi, I was calling for the dumb show. Listen, I am a long-time listener of the show. It is just the best show on radio right now,
it's a
or whatever
groper.
production we're doing it at.
It's not a groper.
The other day you
Grandma
mentioned this
groper.
person
We're getting
you
a whole new
listen to as
whole new area.
This
We're gonna
Dominic
show you who it is in
Izzo.
just a second.
Matthew, you have such a great audience. So many of us love you, and you forwarded us to this vile, disgusting, vulgar, just icky man. His stupid show. And I want to let you know, as a lawyer listener for the dumb show, I refuse to listen to that man. He is selfish.
You can't say loyal.
He is a narcissist. He reminds me of my ex-boyfriend,
okay, we haven't
Timothy.
heard this part.
Timothy would just never let me top. It was always about me bottoming, and he suppressed me, and he didn't care about my values, my needs, and I feel it's the same thing when I listen to you, Matthew, and the dumb show. You listen to my needs. You care about my needs. You want me satisfied, and I get satisfied every time I listen to your show.
Oh, I bet you satisfy him.
Don't belittle yourself by associating with that disgusting. I'm not even going to say his name. It's just he's gross. I don't. But the man that you talked about, whose last name is Izzo that I'm never going to say on air. I don't think anyone should listen to him. We should all listen to you, and that's it. I'm a loyal listener. I love you. Thank you. Keep doing your show. Bye.
The man who shall not be named. Oh, sorry, the grandma who shall not be named.
Folks, I don't want to out this, but I was thinking of playing this along for a long time. But if you can't figure out who that is, then you need to go listen to Dominic Izzo and figure it out. Because
I think he's done some undercover work, and he probably was a trainee for a little bit. He's got that little he's got that little lisp going pretty well. It's like,
but nobody would actually believe that that's Dominic.
Oh, I mean, you could tell like 10, 15 seconds in,
right?
If you've heard him before, you can start to hear it,
right? So I think what we'll do is I was going to play this off like you guys wouldn't know who this is, and this guy would call it. I've got something better. Is that I'm going to call in and I'm going to be Timothy.
Ooh,
and I'm going to be like, listen, you bitch. You know that one time in prison when you took me into that gate and the cameras were off, and now you don't even call me anymore. What the? And I'm gonna troll his show back, and we're gonna make this fun. But I think you guys should be in on the joke, right? Because that's Dominic Izzo, and he's hilarious. Most people could not tell that that's him because this guy. Look at him, for God's sakes. This guy was born with a phallic in his mouth with a cigar. I mean, this guy puts his cigar out on his chest. Why? Because he can.
He's a man. That's why.
Listen, anybody who is like, he's almost 50, and this guy's yoked like a freaking brick house. I mean, he's you should see some of his workouts. They're incredible. Just a total alpha. But like most alphas, has a sense of humor. So if you have not listened to Dom, you can listen to him over on Spreely TV. And no, this isn't a big advertisement for Dom. I'm not trying to do that. That's not what I'm pushing on you. You may not like him. He's vulgar. His favorite word starts with "see you next Tuesday" all the time. I mean, this guy drops the word. It rhymes with hunt constantly. But you got to understand, I'm used to that. Like, I played rugby with Irish and Scottish and English guys, and hunt is their favorite word.
I mean, it's kind of like in the military. I don't know if it was for you, for us, the F word was basically a comma.
Right.
For him, "see you next Tuesday" is a comma.
Right.
Like that's just how it is. Yeah.
So he calls me, and he's like, "Matt," and out of the fucking blue, like just out of the blue, like I don't know what he likes the show. The guy watches the show all the time. Which is hilarious. And he even told me, he's like, "Dude, I love your show. I watch it. It's a smart show. I'm a fan." And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. Cause we enjoy his stuff. And, he's like, "Listen, I want to have this relationship with you." And he starts, pulling out these,
what is he pulling out here? Like,
that's usually this is when the
is this when the nightstick comes out?
Right. This is when the baton comes, the PR-24, get it right. They don't carry nightsticks. "I've got a billy club. See, it's not."
I don't know. It's Chicago. They use money for like potholes and other crap.
That's right. They don't have PR-24s. So, this guy, calls and just says, "I want to have that relationship, that old school, tit for tat Cheers type, Norm and Cliff type relationship where there's this banter." And I'm like, okay. So I was trying to figure out how I could do it. I'm like, my listeners are too smart. That somebody would have figured out that was Izzo. So I'm like, what we'll do is we'll play it. And then when he's on live, I will call in and we'll pull off like something funny on his show, and we'll continue to do it because he gets women calling in all the time. I mean, I was listening to a show the other day, and it was him and Matt Couch.
Yep.
Matt just got a new leg, by the way, and I told him that you would be happy to talk to him, even though I didn't ask your permission at all. But I said, if you're having struggles, if you're going through this and you're punching the clock, and you're punching it not because you're clocking in, but you're punching it because you're frustrated. He'll help you through it. He's been through it himself. So I know you listen to Matt. I know you at least know who he is. So I figured I would offer you up without your permission. I hope that was okay.
Absolutely
not. Shit happens.
Well, I do want for Izzo. I'm just thinking about this. What if we just sent him one of my legs with like a "Don't Unfriend Me" sticker or like something on it?
Good.
And been like, "Hey, I know you guys are a little broke out there. Here's your new
I like
your new
that.
nightsticks."
Do you have? Will they ship formaldehyde in jars? That oh, your prosthetic.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And Matt Couch doesn't really strike me as a person who would fit in one of your legs.
No, I want to send it to Izzo, so
want to
he
send it
can
to
use
Izzo?
that as one of his props on his shows.
That sounds fine. You know what I wanted to send him? I wanted to go and buy him like a $150 cigar and put a little note on there and get it in cellophane. And now $150 cigars aren't in cellophane, so I'll have to figure this out. And then what I wanted to do is I wanted to get some like glaze that's on donuts, the drizzle. I wanted to drizzle it on the cigar
my God.
and wrap it, and with a little note with a little heart in it, a little blue note with like gold writing, and in the gold writing it says "Love Monica," and send in that cigar. And I figured that would be a good, put it in a beautiful like mahogany case and ship this prop. And he would have to open this up on live
on camera,
right? And a little "Love Monty." Thanks for all the crazy nights. Maybe a little recording in there. Listen, Izzo. I love Monica, and I decided to go ahead and let you borrow her a little bit. Hillary's been on my balls, and she won't let me do her. So you take care of her for me, okay? But we'll figure out what to do. We'll do something fun. Anyway, so listen, thanks for listening to that interesting segment. But Dominic Izzo, if you haven't listened to him, you can find him on Dominic Izzo on Spreely.tv. We're on Spreely TV. We are, you can watch us on Fire Stick and Chrome, Apple, and Apple Cast, and wherever the hell all those places are. Now we're on TV. So welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Let's get into some topics tonight. You went on a hunting trip, and I think it's important to talk about. Now, do your friends watch the show?
Yes. Yeah, there's a few of them, and honestly, the guys down there that are hunting, they're actually probably out hunting right now, so they probably won't see it.
Oh, well, that's it. Tell me what's going on here.
All right. So basically, I went down to Georgia with one of my longtime friends, and what we do is we try every year to pick a hunt to go on just so we can go hang out, have a trip. We've been to this plantation. It's called Winfield Plantation, down in Albany, Georgia.
Wait a second. Did they have slaves there?
I mean, you're in Georgia. Yes, every plantation down there had it.
Did you
long time ago.
apologize to the African American community for partaking in a place that had a plant? Ryan Reynolds had to do that, and if he has to do that, why don't you? I know my hair is actually competing with Ryan's hair.
You got a lot of things competing with Ryan.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. That could be a backhanded compliment, or it could be a so I'm gonna take it as a compliment.
You can take that however
he
you
is
wish.
the greatest looking man in the world.
He is.
But did you apologize and write a letter of contrition?
Absolutely not.
Did your lawyers make a statement that you went? First of all, you're killing animals, and second, I know you'd rather kill black people because you went to a plantation that had slavery on it. So
I mean, I go there to hunt animals because I like food.
Do you hunt black animals? Are you?
I mean, I've killed a black bear before. Yeah, that's.
Well,
I don't
diversity.
discriminate.
Yeah,
I don't care what color it is.
Was he a gay black bear? Because that would be perfect.
I don't know what they identified as that day. Why did you assume?
I assumed the bear's
You
gender.
did.
I did. Well, I feel horrible.
You should.
I'm trying to make this about equity and diversity, and you keep making me feel. You keep recognizing and demonstrating my white privilege, and it's a little offensive. So go ahead, talk about your murdering spree of black Jewish bears.
Well, I don't know about a murdering spree that we.
Did you guys hit anything?
we did hit anything. We did a lot more missing than we did hitting, but it was still fun. But basically,
that's because you were shooting with a bunch of civilians.
Yes, but I mean, it's one of those. These guys are longtime hunters. That's just how it goes.
Okay.
But basically, how this works on this plantations, it's a combination of wild quail and pen raised quail. Just because there's no way you can actually have a business if you just go off of wild quail. There's not enough of them, so they have to supplement with some of the pen raised, and then they put them out in the field. And the reason that we love going down there the most is obviously like we've gotten close to the staff, and the one guide that we had. He is also a Marine vet. He was a dog handler. So like we've become friends, but it's seeing the dog work.
Okay.
And seeing those dogs go out there, they'll use the scent of the birds. They'll work the land that we're going over. It is amazing to see them actually find the birds and then actually go out and flush them. So this is just the fun part of the dogs they have water buckets out there, and the Cocker Spaniels are so small, it is easier for them to jump in the water drink it, and then come back out and then get a little bath. So half the time we forget to shoot just because we're watching the dogs, because it's so much fun just to see them go. And obviously, this is the fun part of the hunt, just watching these dogs, seeing them play. Like, that's the fun. If you go back to the picture,
the two, because I'm interested to see what the dog,
so
their
actually
names or who they are or whatever.
Purdy is the Cocker Spaniel, and I'm forgetting the short hair's name. But I mean, you're going out with 4 or 5 pointers, and they'll go one at a time. And typically, how you would do these hunts is you would go to a field, you get out of your vehicle, and you're going to walk through the field.
So the pointer is Purdy?
Purdy is the Cocker Spaniel, the small one at the bottom.
Purdy's not too Purdy.
I mean, most dogs are Purdy. Let's be real.
So that's Purdy, and then this pointer, this one. Okay, let me think. Chesterton.
No, that is. I mean, it's
Chester.
This is a Marine's dog. So.
Jasper. Jasper is a good name for a Marine dog.
I could see that.
I could see a Jasper, or fuck the Army. Is that his name?
Go Navy.
Okay, don't start. Don't start. That was that.
Yeah, we lost.
We don't want to talk about that.
No.
But moving on.
That game never happened.
So you've got these two dogs. You see them work, which I wouldn't even be able to. I'll be honest with you. If I have never been bird hunting in my life. Now I'm a trap shooter and I'm a damn good shooter. So if anyone needs anybody to stand in for a team member, I'm your guy. The last time, dude, I coached my boss from Valor who couldn't hit the broadside of a boat or hit water if he fell off a boat on the phone. And I'm like, bro, this is how you shoot trap. And after that, he went for like 26 for 26. And I'm like, if I can teach you to do that on the phone, imagine what I could do in person. But anyway, so I wouldn't be able to put rounds down range if those dogs were near. I'd be so worried about hitting the dog. And I know they're trained, but still.
Well, and that's where you have to be smart and professional enough to, there's a lot of times we did not shoot just because if the dog is too close to the bird, you're not shooting, or you have to wait till that bird gets away from the dogs to where you feel it's safe enough that you can actually pull the trigger and the bird isn't then far enough away. But
Dick Cheney did it.
You don't want to Dick Cheney one of these dogs, because if you shoot a dog, we're going to shoot you.
Right. They're not going to find the body.
No.
Unless you're Dick Cheney. Okay.
Well, yeah, if you're the VP, you get away with a few things. But typically when you go down to these, you go to a field and then you walk through the fields. Obviously, I'm not walking through fields. That's not how it works. So what this plantation has done is on the front of Jeeps, they have put a contraption that has 2 seats on the front that have little swivel seats on them. So that way when these dogs go on point, they actually drive me up to where the dog is pointing. So that way I'm on the front of the Jeep shooting off of that. And then one of the other hunters that I'm with will either go on the left or right, whichever makes sense. And then the little Cocker Spaniels that are the flush dogs, they'll actually go into the bush or the log or wherever these birds are at and flush them out.
Got it. By the way, Travis Cherry.
Oh, Travis, what's up, man?
Says, what up, Mikey?
What up? That's one of my buddies from high school.
Okay, that's not one of the hunters.
No, he's no.
Okay,
he is a hunter, but
he's not the hunter that was with you.
Not down in Georgia.
Okay. Mikey went down to Georgia.
There was a soul to steal.
So that's all day. Go ahead.
But yeah, it's basically where you're just doing that over and over again. You go out for a few hours in the morning, and then for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you get a good Southern meal, which is ridiculous.
Right.
Because everything is fried, heavy as hell, and there's a dessert with everything.
And it's peach or apple.
This one was a lot more. They were coming up with some random desserts. I don't even think we had apple the entire time.
Oh, peach and apple are out of season. That's why you can't eat that. So that's not fair. If it's summer, it's peach or apple. I don't care. It's peach lemonade. It's apple pie, apple corn fritters in the South, and then if it's winter, that's a great question. I don't think I've ever had I haven't had a lot of Southern food. Maybe it's rhubarb or some shit. I don't know.
All I know is they had pork for almost every meal, so I'm just like,
That's fair.
I'm good. I don't need pork for a freaking while. It was way too much. But it's one of those, for these things, you go for the full experience of, you get all these meals paid for you, you stay on the plantation, and then you go hunt for a few days. And actually, they do have a full skeet and traps set up.
Oh wow, that'd be fun.
So like they do things like if a corporate event type thing's going down there and they've never shot birds before, they'll start them on a skeet and trap. So it's like, hey, here's how you handle a weapon. Here's how you shoot the trap. So then they can then attempt to go over to the birds if they're safe enough.
Okay.
But no, it's just a good time. We go hang out and enjoy a few days of hunting. Now, we kind of did it to where when we first started off, like I haven't touched a shotgun since the last time I was there, and that's been about 4 years.
What type of gun are you using?
So it's I use an over-under that's actually the guide shotgun that he lets me borrow. And then my buddy, he has an old English side-by-side that I don't forget the name. But it's
muzzle
one of
loader. Hold on, you fucking bird. Get there in a second.
But yeah, it's one of those. It's always either a double under or side-by-side shotgun that they're using.
Hey, Leah. Good to see you. Come on. Leah's
what's going on?
Leah's my sister-in-law. She's
nice.
She's one of the family I actually like. So I'm just kidding. I like all of her family. But Leah is on Instagram. So I figured I'd say hello. I mean, if you get to say hello to Travis, I figured I would.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So you're over there. You've got an over-under. Mm-hmm. Then what was the take?
Well, so it's one of those that the first session we were god awful. We hit more air than we did birds. It was just.
Is it shot selection? Is it that you're too far away? I mean, it's a shotgun for God's sake. How do you not hit the bird?
So a lot of them is just when the bird gets up and gets going, we were either shooting too quick, so we're going behind them, or we were taking some Hail Mary shots that they were just way too far away.
I think you're not being transparent. I think there's you missed.
Oh, absolutely, I missed. I missed a good amount. Now it's one of those, like the first morning we were horrible. Then we kept getting better and better through the second day, to where that second day we were hitting pretty well, and then the third day it dropped off again pretty hard, because I think at that point we were kind of done. That if it was a 2-day hunt, it would have been perfect, but we did 3.
Okay, so did you take these birds back? This obviously isn't catch and release.
No.
Fly away. These birds, they won't fly again. What the fuck's their problem? Okay, so you're not using rock salt, right? So you're doing it right. You take some home, you miss on the first day, then you guys hone it in. I still am questioning the fact of if you guys have shot quail before, shot birds, and I haven't shot quail. I have no idea what it's like, but I figure it can't be as hard as shooting, cross sides on trap. I mean, those things are moving, 40, 50 miles an hour. Those birds aren't moving that. Is it that much more difficult than trap?
I would say yes, only because for the trap, at least it's going in one specific direction, and it's going to maintain the speed. There were some of these guys that we called like Maverick and Goose, because they were doing some actual maneuvers.
So they're
around
diving.
crap.
They're doing a 5G negative dive inverted. Yes. Okay, so
and they definitely gave us the finger.
Right.
They gave yes.
Okay, got it.
They took some picture of us as they flew by, waved, gave the finger.
Yes, I know the finger goose.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead.
Just making sure. And then I will say my colorful language definitely came out.
The more you miss at the birds.
Yeah, the more you miss, you start naming those birds, and normally shit was one of the names of the birds,
right?
And then it went to dropping the F-bomb a decent amount, but that's
your mother
that's
raised
real
you
quail
better,
hunting.
Your mother raised you better than that.
She did. She also raised me taller than this, so
that's true.
I can't.
That's true.
I can't do everything.
So so you went there better on third day, but you kind of checked out. Second day sounds like the optimal day, which is most hunting trips or fishing trips. The second day is the best day, and then everything else just kind of goes downhill from there. Like you have your optimal day. All right. So did you have a good time?
Yes and no.
What was the no?
So I go with my buddy, and like it's always a good time with us. However, they brought.
Do you guys share the same tent?
Oh, these are like cabins. I'm over.
Do you share the same cabin?
Yes.
Do you share the same bed in the cabin?
No.
Okay, so you're not that good of friends. Let's just keep it in perspective. You're good friends. You're not great friends.
Not great friends.
All right. If it got cold enough.
Listen, I'm a Marine. You know the answer to that.
Fair enough.
You know the answer.
Right. Whatever happens in the Marines stays in the Marines. Got it.
Until it's on Instagram.
Got it.
And this is one of those, like, his family came down with him, which this is the first time I was exposed to them. I only heard about them.
Right.
And wasn't a fan. And I think after this one, I mean, he's getting to the point where it's like, yeah, I'm not going hunting with these guys anymore.
So you didn't know these guys? These were just friends of friends?
They were. I went with my one buddy and his wife, and then the rest of the folks were his family.
So we can talk shit about them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So they were douche plows.
One of them, and then one of the dude's wife is, as Izzo puts it, see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday?
Yes. Ooh. Just hateful to be hateful and freaking hate, like, any reason to be pissed off.
Did she have a gun in her hand when she was doing it?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, well, then it's really not. It's immaterial. Yeah. That conversation will only go one way if she pushes it too far. Mm-hmm. So people really suck, don't they? I mean, this is why I didn't go over to your house. That I don't know any, and I got to assume that you have great friends and great people. But there's just, I don't know, man. I got to do a background check on people because I just can't, because I'll say something and then I'll ruin it, and then I can't be your friend anymore because like, oh, remember that one time when Matt came over and he like said all this shit about our friends, and I don't have a filter anymore. So these people, they sucked. They kind of ruined the trip. You're not going to go with them next time.
Yep. But my friend, like, we've already decided, like, we're going to go somewhere else, and I think we're going to go hunt where it's a high fence place, but he's going to hunt deer, and I'm going to do elk. So we're going to plan that out, but that's going to be, like, a next year thing.
Let me know. We've talked about this. I for some reason, I've lost the taste for it, you know? I don't, like, birds, who cares about birds? Rabbits, who gives a shit? Hog. But Bambi, and I don't know, man. I think I'm in a place in my life where I don't want to kill a deer, but I also really love elk meat. So I just may, you know what? Let me know when you go. And I'm one of those. I probably won't say 10 words the whole fucking trip, which I know it's impossible for you to believe. But
that's not Matt.
That's
not the Matt I know.
It is when I'm around people I don't know, especially with guns. So, because that's when I watch.
Piss you off with all these guns.
Like then it's an equal footing. Like if you want to wax intellect, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to win. But if you have a gun, then I'm like,
let's think about this for a second.
Watch the P's and Q's. All right, so the hunting trip was a moderate success. From a game standpoint, from a dog standpoint, sounds like that was the highlight of the time.
Oh, absolutely.
From a company standpoint, was great with your buddy, but then there's some shitbags that kind of drew it down.
Yep.
Like is such as life. Overall, I think we're going to give this a one bite. Everybody knows the rules. It's going to be a 5 out of 10 trip.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably accurate.
5 out of 10. Okay, all right. Well, good. Thanks for telling us. You would recommend the place though, so that's.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely enjoyed the. And I think this is the 3rd or 4th time that I've been there, and I know my buddy has gone there at least 6 or 7 times. So it's the staff we like, the food's good, we know the hunting's good. So, well, I mean, if you can shoot, the hunting's good. You will see a bunch of birds. Now, whether you hit them or not, that's on you.
I don't know. I've always been a good shot. That's just the one thing. I don't know. I just like if I ever wanted to do something competitive, it certainly wouldn't be hockey. Because my shot's great. I have great balance on the ice. I can tango. I've got the body size. I do not have the skating ability. I'm just not a great skater. And it's what held me back from doing anything. Rugby, I was too big.
See, I used to be that way for hockey because I couldn't, like I was Bambi on the ice. Maybe if we just cut your legs off, put you in a bucket.
We talked about this.
Listen, that'll help.
We got to have goals. We got to have long-term goals. That's a long-term goal.
Get diabetes so we can cut your legs off, and then.
Dude, do you know how much weight I'd have to put on to get diabetes? I mean, my sugar intake is literally a tablespoon of jam a day, and my frozen yogurt. I just don't do sugar. It's just not my thing. Now, Olivia's been bringing home these cookies from Leesburg. Holy shit!
Those are
those
amazeballs.
Fucking gourmet, like pumpkin spice, freaking with this. It looks
That's
like
your pumpkin spice latte.
Oh,
thank you.
Stop, you bitch. And they came with this peach cobbler cookie, and it's like it looks like a mini peach pie. And I'm like, holy shit! And I ate this thing. I'm like, this is heaven. So those things are, I've definitely had to, work those off. But anyway, I guess there's one thing I would have done competitively. Skeet shooting. I've just always been a natural. I just picked it up and I could do it. And and people are like, dude, this is not normal. Like, this is not normal. But I've always been decent at stuff like that. Axe throwing was the same way. I picked up and started doing bowling. And so I've been naturally, I'm decent at picking up and doing things and trying it. The one thing I can't do is throw a football. I can't throw a football. Like, you could pay me $1 million and say, Matt, throw the ball 30 yards. And I'd be like, well,
nope.
Fuck, forget it. Just, thanks. Like, you could have told me to go ahead and do a triple whip stitch. And I could have, I don't know. I could have pulled that off, but throwing a football 30 yards, not a chance. It's like, don't go. Just stay where you're at.
It's like, nah, we're good.
It's like, go long. I'm like, No, don't go long. Just
Go 5 yards.
Just stay where you're at. Let's do it. Let's do it 5 yards and then come back. Then I'll hit you on the way back. That's in front of the line of scrimmage. It doesn't matter. It's a successful pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I can't throw I can't throw a baseball to save my life, but I can catch. I can hit. I don't know. So anyway, glad you had a good time, but we've got some more serious things to talk about.
Yes.
Not that I know what they are. What are we talking about? What's next?
Which I don't even know. Which
You want to do the Harvard thing?
yeah, we can go into the Harvard.
All right,
thing.
talk about the Harvard thing real quick, and then I'll pull up the video you sent me, and we can watch it.
The video. All right.
Tell everybody about it.
Let me find this link. All right. So I think it's been out there long enough, and everyone has seen all the news about all the Harvard and all the other Ivy League.
Where'd you send me the SNL skit? Where'd you send that? Was that from Olivia?
It was from Olivia.
Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Where they testified in front of Congress because all the anti-Semitic crap that's been going on, and just in general, all the stuff's been going on college campuses, and no one's cared about. Crap, now I'm going to forget it. Was it UPenn, the president that already resigned? But the more recent one is Harvard has come out and said that they are not going to fire Ms. Gay, and she's not going to resign. And then,
and she's not a very gay person. Maybe from her sexual preference, but not from a disposition. Like,
No.
like I feel pretty, I feel pretty and witty and gay.
she just seems like an angry person.
She's just a vindictive bitch.
Yes.
I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. I don't use that word. I think I have a lot of female listeners, so the word "see you next Tuesday" and "bitch" very rarely enter my vocabulary. She's a bitch with a capital C. I just want to be completely honest. She's a horrible
100%.
human being. We'll show you who she is and what she does. But we have an SNL skit. But anyway, walk through it. What were some of the things she said? Let's get some direct quotes.
So, well, and the one I have, the first one I want to go into is the letter from the professors at Harvard. And there's a specific line in there that I think is very telling with what they're trying to push and the ideology that they want in schools. And this is the quote from the letter from, it's 511 professors that signed on to this.
Ugh.
The critical work of defending a culture of free inquiry in our diverse community cannot proceed if we let it be shaped, dictated by outside forces. So, trying to break this down a little bit, that obviously, like, yes, they want a culture of free inquiry in our diverse community. I'm pretty sure the only thing that's diverse there is the folks that they try to get in, because obviously there's a big push for LGBTQ and certain racial demographics that they're trying to get in so they can hit all their quotas. But diversity of thought in these college campuses is not a freaking thing.
It's not a reality.
That all they want is, like, our professors are going to tell you how to think, what to think, and what protest or whatever ideology crap that you want to push.
Right.
That is the only free thought that you can have as long as it conforms to what we want.
Right.
That it is freaking ridiculous. Like, oh no, we want everything as long as I tell you it's okay. And if it's not, then we're going to kick you out, or we're going to do all this crap where we're going to allow all of these peaceful protests to then infringe on the rights of others, and we don't care because it's what we want, what we want to push.
One of the best lines I ever heard from a woman named Sherry Peters, who I swear to God, if like her husband died and Olivia died in a car crash in the same day, I would find this woman and we'll probably just tell her I'm sorry her husband's dead. But she's just the soulmate that you could have had, but you don't have a relationship with, you're not attracted to, you know what I mean? But just somebody, she was my boss, and she was just an amazing human being. She was the type of boss that when we were done, she'd say, love you right back. I mean, just that type of boss. Great relationship, loved the kids, took care of the kids, loved Olivia. They all had great relationships, just an amazing boss. But just somebody who, if you lost someone who you truly cared about, that would be a person you'd reach out to because they'd be able to take care of you, at least mentally. She always said two things, is listen to how many times you say I when you're talking. And it's Terrifying. How many times people say the word I. And it shows that when you're trying to convey others, but you're always saying the word I, it's obviously antithetical to whatever's coming out of your mouth. The second thing is that she said is that, and this is not her quote. I mean, this is a quote that Freud has said this, King has said this, but you don't get to control how others feel. It's none of your business.
Yep.
Is that what people think about you is none of your business. If they want to share that with you, if they want to tell that to you, they have a right. And this is why the diversity of thought is complete bullshit. Because even if you try to achieve this Shangri-La moment of diversity of thought, how do you quantify or qualify whether it's happening or not? Because honestly, when I look at people and sometimes people are talking, you know what? I've been in the retail industry where I know people are looking at me going, yeah, Matt, I love what you're saying. But what they're thinking is, I fucking hate this guy. And I wish he would stop talking. People feel that way on the show about me all the time. So Mike, when you hear this diversity of thought, immediately it's a lie. It's not achievable. It's not attainable. So what are they really trying to say? Instead of a diversity of thought, what are they really trying to accomplish in your eyes?
So wait, are you asking that into the?
Yeah, the leftists. Like, when you have these indoctrination, these academia, these college campuses, when they talk about diversity of thought, and we know that it's an impossible metric to achieve because you're never going to be able to truly know. Like, Mike, watch when I say this. Mike, there's $10 on my table. Okay, it's now missing. It's you and I in this room. I didn't touch it. I know you did. Did you take it? Now you say no.
Yep.
Say no.
No.
Well, I know you're lying because I know I didn't touch it. So therefore, I looked at my wallet. I didn't buy anything in the last 3 minutes. You took the $10. Give me the $10. No, I didn't take it. So I know you took it. You know you took it, but there is no way that I can factually prove that because you're saying something you don't believe. How do you quantify diversity of thought to know it's working? What are the metrics that these asshats are proposing to show that they've achieved some level or metric that diversity of thought has taken place in every human being across the planet? Is it a realistic goal?
No. And I think what you're trying to get at is their diversity of thought is having, we have this percentage of whatever race, religion. So look, we have this many people who are gay, this many people who are trans,
right? This
many people who are African American or Asian or whatever metric you're trying to use. Like, look, here's our diversity. It's like, that's
right.
Yes, under that context, you have different people from different backgrounds and cultures that are going to your school. That doesn't mean that it's different experiences, because guess what? If they all grew up in frickin' Manhattan, it's going to be one specific experience they're going to have.
Exactly.
So it's not and when I was recently at Yale, I was astounded by the number of Asian students there were.
Oh, it's incredible. It's like UCLA.
Oh yeah, it's one of those. I'm like, did all of China send most of their kids here? Like, right. They're all going to Yale.
Right.
But
the only type of restaurants are Italian.
Italian or really bad Mexican place.
Right. Mexican, Italian, but it's all a bunch of, you think. But anyway, Egg Foo Young is not even in China. But the point is, so that's not diversity of thought. Now, what that to me means is a diversity and ethnic variety of people, but not necessarily diversity when it comes to how people convey their feelings. See, because I don't see diversity. Okay, when I go into the workplace, having someone who's a different color, to me, is a surface level expenditure.
Yep.
What it does is the demographic, does it reflect the town, city, municipality? Because that's important, right? You want your store to represent, the community. But once you get past that surface level shit, if you're in Kansas, for example, and you hire a bunch of replants from Los Angeles who are a bunch of city slickers, that's not going to go over well. No. So true diversity of thought is the content that you're providing. Is it diverse to influence multiple groups of people who normally would not be exposed to it? Isn't that true diversity?
Yeah. I can get behind that.
So what the fuck are they saying? Listen, we're gonna bring some Mexicans in here, some Chinese in here. We're gonna bring some blacks and some whites. All right, and some women. You split tails. Come on over here. All right, now what?
That's all they need. Because like once they get past like, oh look at our numbers, we're doing great. It's like, are you though?
Oh God. So this is more of this equality index bullshit that a lot of corporations and business. Why I fled corporate America is because the brass tacks is this: if you want true diversity, the only way to achieve true diversity is speech. Diversity of thought is inner dialogue that is being disseminated and processed vocally or from a literal standpoint to be assimilated by others, and then their overall impact by what you said, they will reciprocate communication, and then you will have diversity of true thought. What they want is diversity of looks that somehow will achieve diversity of thought, and there is absolutely no number or data or collective analysis that proves that having a group of diverse looking people achieve diverse conversation and diverse thought. Because if that's the case, then the military would have had a coup a long time ago against their leaders, because that is the most diverse group of people who follow orders and are one single brainchild and and if they revolt or push back, they're thrown in the fucking brig.
100%.
So to sit here and say just bringing a bunch of people together creates diversity of thought, it's no more debunked than when you look at the United States military. Because those are some of the most single thought train line type people you've ever met in your life.
And I would say like the military is probably the only place that is a true melting pot of every ethnic group, background, and social class that you're probably going to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in most of these schools, like you're never going to get that.
No.
You're going to get...
They're all rich kids.
Either rich kids or they hit that certain demographic, so then they're going to get all their scholarships to come in.
Right.
To where you don't have a true melting pot of like, hey, yeah, I had the good old country boys with the gang members, with the folks from Compton, New York, Chicago. Then you get all the Southern folk that come up, and you need a translator for some of those freaking kids out of Louisiana. But that's where you can truly get like, you learn stuff about different areas, that culture that you're never going to understand, but at least you can experience it through someone else, and you're not going to judge them for it. Like, oh, well, you're never going to understand because you weren't there. I'm like, okay, cool. But you can still tell me about it and I can learn about it, and not in this way that these colleges are doing, to be like, oh, well, you're a different group, so I'm just going to protest it because, you know what, I was told that I shouldn't like you, so I'm not going to, but I'm not going to be able to articulate why I don't. And whatever CNN says, and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go with that because I'm going to take whatever happened with no context and push that out as a narrative of why these people are bad, even though it's probably false.
Right.
And they're taking something completely out of context that didn't happen. Or what I love is all these videos where they're doing voiceovers or they're putting sound over video. I'm like, oh, look, this totally happened. It's like, no, if you see the actual video, it didn't happen.
Right.
But it gets out so quickly that there's nothing anyone can do about it. And no one actually takes a second to be like, did this actually happen? Or is this people trying to screw with us again who are really crafty on word and all that? Like, mix everything up. So
or AI or video editing or whatever. Let's listen to the video. This is NBC, so that kind of covered this, and we'll tell you what we think. And then there's an SNL skit that is just so cringe. You just, my God. And you know, maybe one day they'll get it right. Here it is.
The faculty unequivocal in their support of
Totally support Claudine Gay.
Members of Harvard University faculty unequivocal in their support of University President Claudine Gay as she continues to come under fire following her testimony in a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism last week.
And I personally don't think her actions merit her going.
Harvard Medical School professors Martin Arye and Dr. Sarah Johnstone were among the more than 500 Harvard faculty members who signed a letter sent to the Harvard Corporation urging the school's top governing board to resist political pressure to remove Gay.
Because it looks like Congress and donors are trying to take out the first African-American president. And she hasn't had egregious missteps. She's come clearly out against anti-Semitism. So this is ridiculous.
I think the university needs to have its own discussion. But apart from that, I think Gay's actions have been very good. And I think she had some missteps in her statements in front of Congress.
Harvard University faculty unequivocal in their support of university
steps in her statements in front of Congress. She definitely said the wrong things. She apologized.
Okay.
Well, what was the first thing that she said that she brought up? The first African-American woman.
Right.
That is the first thing that they brought up. It always goes down to race. Like, well, she's African-American. Like, she's obviously good at this. I'm like, your race has fucking nothing to do with how good you are at a job.
That's right.
It's what you actually do in that position, your qualifications to get there, not getting there because of a skin tone. Like, it is freaking ridiculous that everything goes back to race. It's like, oh no, they're African-American. They know how to do this. I'm like, cool. Were they educated before? Did they do anything in the administration? Do they know how to run a college? Do they know how to do the administration for all this? Like, there's so many things that you could be going into, but everything is like, nope, they're African-American. They know how to do this. I'm like, what? Like, why is that always what they go back to?
And you got to love Che Guevara here, who definitely, his T-shirt underneath is most assuredly a Che Guevara T-shirt.
Oh, absolutely.
Is like, you know what, she said some things wrong and she had some missteps. Well, so did Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr said some shit that was considered anti-Semitic and some missteps, and you guys crucified her. Okay? Would you like the list of people you have canceled simply because they have said things that you disagree with? Ridiculous. I don't remember. Gina Carano was also, because she compared the censorship that was taking place on social media to 1940 Germany and their censorship and the hatred that was moving towards Republicans. Well, you got the president of the United States calling everyone MAGA extremists 6 months after she said that was fired and standing up on a red blazoned building where the only thing he needed was the 1-inch mustache. And she was right. They have constantly called everyone MAGA extremists. They've called us white nationalists. They've called us Christian extremists, which is ridiculous. You vote for Trump and all of a sudden you're a J6er. I'm like, what the? I've spoken out about J6 more than any conservative voice. Any conservative voice. I don't care who it is, whether they're a syndicated show or some small time podcast. I will put my fervent resolve against J6 in the stolen election against anybody. I've never changed my tune. I never will, because I know the facts. So if you want to sit here and say that she misstepped and she misspoke and she said some things that were wrong, that's all the qualification you need to remove her. All right, let's finish the rest and then we'll do SNL real quick. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, no, I was just like, and I love how she's like, oh, no, she's doing great. You want to know why? Because they're allowed to do whatever they want. They're allowed to push everything, and she's going to allow it to happen. Of course, they're going to say that she's doing what she wants. Like, when I see this is where I'm like, universities need to take a big hit for this. I mean, like, this is where you're sending your kids. This is what they're learning. Maybe people need to start looking at those vocational schools, go the plumber or the welder route, because that's how you're actually going to have a future. If this is the future that you want, we're going to be in a hell of a hard time. Like, if you think we're in hard times right now, this class and this age group that's going through college right now, in 5 years when that's our main workforce, let's see how hard it actually gets. We're going to be in freaking trouble.
I want to make a point before the NSNL video. We'll switch over. We got 15 seconds to this, and I'm going to make a quick point, and I want to get your thoughts.
Saturday, University of Pennsylvania President Elizabeth McGill, who testified alongside Gay, stepped down. Then on Sunday, the Harvard Corporation convened 2 days of previously scheduled meetings with the Harvard Board of Overseers. That's why Arye says sending the letter to the corporation Sunday was critically important.
Hopefully to have some impact on the meeting today. But we'll see how that goes. I don't think we have all that much influence.
So what you're saying is that you send a letter of... Hey! Shut up.
Gotta love those ads.
Nobody cares about kids. Be quiet. So what you're trying to say is I sent a letter simply to protect my own hide, and I'm hoping it really helps, so I don't have to be held accountable. Here's okay. I don't think I've ever heard this anywhere, and it bums me out that it's buried this deep in the episode because a lot of people aren't going to hear it. A lot of people. So if you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, even Facebook, you can splice the video and cut this segment and repost it if you want to. People ask the question, disinformation from people like Alex Jones, or we're going to talk about this, or disinformation that's done by clandestine, at war clandestine from Twitter, or the Qers, who are now took the Q drops and then now assimilate those as their own. And now you've got, just like you have a million guys who are anonymous. And the thing about anonymous is they don't fucking let you know that they're anonymous. And the reason why is they don't want to go to jail for the rest of their life for breaking FEC crimes, right? Or FCC crimes, or FEC crimes. But these universities, is that, in my opinion, the white collar crime that is no longer around, that you see from the New York Stock Exchange, embezzlement. You saw it with FTX. You see it with pharmaceutical companies all the time. And they get pretty much nailed to the cross. Like, they may get a couple billion for 5 or 10 years, but ultimately they get crushed and brought down because the elite doesn't want new money in their little circle, right? This goes all the way back to the Titanic. This goes back to the colonial brownstone days, where the elite class are a very small and significant group of people. But if you want to look at white collar crime, not income tax evasion, but we're talking embezzlement. We're talking pay to play type events. There is nothing more prominent in America than the college, the institution of education in this country. From public school to colleges, all of it is corrupt. And there's a reason why. Let's talk about nepotism. Let's talk about having boosters who donate millions of dollars to build a new stadium and guarantees that their child and kids and grandkids get into this school and they are grandfathered in simply because of bribery. Look at this huge push of the celebrities that were bribing school officials to have their kids go to school. That one lady, maybe not Lori Singer, I don't remember her name, but Lori McLaughlin, whatever her name is, from Full House. You look at all of these people, this huge influence syndicate, which came into bribing children. Take a look at some of the more advanced programs where Asian kids were excluded in order to go ahead and have that diversity, where you look at zoning laws and expansion that are being violated by some of these campuses, the property grabs that are taking place by these campuses, the overall interest rate and lending programs that are predatory on children. And maybe not children, but young adults who are just out of the nest. And if you think that you knew shit when you were 20, you didn't. And you certainly don't when you're 30. And you just realize you don't know anything when you're 30. And at 40, you realize how much you didn't know when you were 20 and 30. And then at 50, you finally start maybe scratching the surface on understanding life a little bit. And you still have a long way to go. But my point is, and here's the snippet, is these universities are the erosion of our society. And it's not Facebook, it's not Twitter, it's not video games, it's not books, it's not the gay and lesbian lifestyle, it's not the abandonment of God and Christian value. No, none of that. Because when you look at it, you still have a society in the United States that's 79% Christian. It's still there. It's the majority, and it's not going to be for much longer, but it is the majority. Video games are not played by every single family. It's controlled. Guns aren't the problem. Sex and drugs have been here since the 70s. And although they contribute to the erosion of society and the moral fabric of this country, universities are the epicenter because of the following reason. And I know I'm really burying the lead here, but They are the cause of this because they're not held accountable. And the reason why they're not held accountable is because every single person in Washington, every single person in the law offices, every single person in the state legislature and the governorships and the presidencies went to these schools. And every time there is a situation where they can be held accountable, it's swept under the rug because they know somebody in DC. They know somebody at the news station, and they use that influence and say, dude, you're a boomer. You're a booster for or not a boomer. You're a booster for this institution. You're alumni. You donate $500,000 a year. Not only is it a conflict of interest for you to run a story, but why would you damage your alma mater? Why would you damage your school? It is a fucking mafia of influence in our country, and they control everything. They control the narrative. They control what's true, what's not. Whoever writes the history, whoever wins the war writes the history. Well, they've won the information war. So when you want to sit here and look at the erosion of this country and where it started and where it is going to continue, it is in our universities and our school systems, because that's where it's learned. And I say learned, not learned, not taught, learned. It is an absolute, not a normal process for someone to come out of my house at 4 or 5 years old and love black people, love gay, lesbian, doesn't matter who they are, Christian, conservative, Gentile, Jew, doesn't matter. And they have that feeling, but by the time that they're 10 o'clock, they understand the theory of white privilege, of sexism, of homophobia, of transgressions against every race and class that not only predate them, but will be their future because it's inherent in who they are. It's a systemic issue that they're born with. They're born racist. They're born homophobic. They're born transphobic. And that is the furthest fucking thing from the truth. My children were not exposed to any of these ideas. So that's my whole point about this, Mike, is that when we look at who do you want to blame, first of all, you have to blame society for continuing to do the same thing over and over and give these institutions hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of these institutions make billions annually. Let me say that again. Billions with a B. From their sports programs, for their advertising, to their medical programs, to their furlough type programs where they will bring in people from different countries and put them on work visas to work inside these schools. This is a multi-billion-dollar operation for a lot of these schools. Do you really believe that their interest is about diversity and inclusion, or is their belief to single-handedly change the process of this country from a generation that's dying, which is the white Christian conservative, that is actually being replaced with a multifaceted, multiracial, multi-ethnic and economic standpoint, but all have one singular thought? It's the biggest lie in America that they are trying to create this diverse culture when all they want to do is have different window dressing, different paint, different fences, but inside it's all the same. And that is, America is bad. It is the erosion of society. Capitalism is the devil, and it needs to be replaced with this new world focus of have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up attitude. And it's as fake as can be. I know I went off. I apologize, but there's a lot there. But that's my thoughts on the whole thing.
Well, yeah, and you can even see that I think a lot of this started in the universities, and now it's been slowly creeping down to high school, the middle schools, and then elementary school. And a lot of it was going unchecked until kind of recently when people started understanding, like, hey, all these people are now running our school boards. They're now all of our teachers. Right. Which, I mean, a lot of them, you can't do anything about the teachers unless you actually get the school board and they get the appropriate administrators in that can deal with the teachers.
Tenure, man.
And that's the thing, like, I would love to see the actual percentage of how many professors at all these Ivy League schools are not Democrats.
Oh, dude, it's
probably probably in the single percentile.
Oh, I guarantee it reflects our media, where like 97% of the media is Democrat donors. Yeah, so and of course it would reflect that. They have the liberal institutions, which is the media, the arts, the education centers. And honestly, the government ran programs like WIC, like CPS. All of these institutions are liberal strongholds. You just don't. The real conservative groups are all ran at the state and local level. They're not the national, federal. I can't think of a federal institution that is conservative.
No,
because it wouldn't be in existence if it was. Right?
I mean, all the major ones that I've worked with, there's a whole lot of liberals, and then there's pockets of conservatives because the liberals don't want to do those jobs, but they understand that they're necessary.
Yes.
So they put them in a corner and being like, play nice and we'll try not to get rid of you, even though they try every year.
You can say the sheriff's office, but that's state. That's state and local. You want to look at the highway patrol? Maybe once in a while, but local city cops, which are federally subsidized, no.
I mean, our town is definitely not, because they're all out of Arlington.
Yeah,
is where they're all.
There's just no fucking way. They're just. I have worked with city cops, and I'm not saying all cops, but if there was a war that went on, let's say in Virginia, we're going to talk about this with the gun rights. If there was a separation where they said, you know what, we're going to make a sanctuary city inside these states where guns can be accepted, which is what they did in Virginia, the local sheriff would stand too with the people, and the city cops would do the arresting.
Yep.
It's just the truth. So they're just the city cops swear fealty to the city, and the sheriffs swear to the state constitution. That's the difference between the two. So needless to say, this whole conversation is a lot bigger and more profound than we probably anticipated. But a lot of people like blame the internet. I don't blame the internet, because if the parents were not restricted by these university and schools to discipline their children the way they used to, this wouldn't be a problem.
You mean actually discipline their kids?
Yeah, because you want to know what? The worst thing, listen, there's nothing like child abuse. Child abuse is the most horrendous thing that can happen. I am an abuse victim, and I've survived it. But let me tell you this. Spanking of children is an absolute necessity for true discipline, the fear of it, and giving that child a taste of fear, knowing that the consequence is not worth the squeeze. The juice is not worth the squeeze. If you can't teach that child that, then there are no repercussions. And this is why crime is running rampant, is because these progressive DAs don't hold these people accountable. They don't try these crimes. They let them go. Take a look at San Francisco. Look at Chicago. Here's a scary stat that I heard the other day. There was almost 1,700 crimes of felony salacious murder in that city. The solve rate, 1.7%.
Jesus, that is ridiculous.
You can kill someone in Chicago and get away with it 98.3% of the time. Sign me up. Listen, I'm a homicidal maniac. I'm going to go to Chicago. I'm going to shoot somebody. Why? Because I'm not going to be held accountable. Because the solve rate isn't that these detectives don't have the evidence. They don't know who did it. Is the fact that the progressive DAs won't prosecute these people, and they let them go. This is the truth of what's happening in this country, and that has nothing to do with the police force. That has everything to do with the progressive movement inside these universities that are changing these prosecutors to perceive that African Americans are still being held down by conservative white Christians, which is the biggest fucking lie ever. In world history, that lie is right up there with the moon is cheese. I can't stand it. Go look at who these cities are being ran by. Look who they're voting in. These are Democrat strongholds for 75 years. You know what? I will be the first to admit, there is more deficit under conservative presidents than ever before. And the reason why is because the military is fucking expensive.
Yep.
And they still try to create social programs. But the reason why Democrats have positive economies is because they don't invest into the defensive budget, and they cut the defense, which is the single largest, biggest expenditure that we have on the bottom line. So Republicans continue to invest in defense, which unfortunately is a spend that they can't fake the budget. Bill Clinton closed 300 fucking bases. He brought our Navy down from 500 some odd ships to 186 ships. The reason why is because he cut the budget by $700 billion because he took money from defense. So conservatives always have worse economies when it comes to overall, but a better state in world affairs, a better military, better overall productivity from a U.S. standpoint, but they spend more. And that is antithetical to a lot of people. They don't seem to understand that and go, well, if they're all about cutting taxes, no, that's not what Republicans stand on. Republicans stand on that the U.S. government needs to be funded by the people. It's the size of the government and the programs that are wasteful that need to be reduced, not defense, not border, not infrastructure, but government tit-run programs like welfare and food stamps. Those are things that actually Republicans created, not Democrats. And if you go back to 1940 through 1967, the conservatives learned that lesson. We used to be the party that would hand out. Then we became the party that was about hand up. And Democrats then grabbed these ideas because they realized they could get a voting demographic in the South that relied on the government that Republicans abandoned and left and said, no, we're done. We're going to teach you how to go ahead and move out of government subsidy. We're going to teach you how to get off the tit of the U.S. government. We're going to give you a hand up, not a hand out. And that became the saying. And Democrats are like, oh, well, we'll go ahead and give you free shit.
Yeah.
So if you actually do your history, there was no party switch. Republicans changed their processes from realizing that they were not getting elected. And if you look from 1940 all the way till 1967, Republicans didn't win shit. They didn't have the Supreme Court. They weren't in power. They were an unsuccessful party because of their stances, because the United States didn't believe in welfare states. When you look at the overall mentality of this country, where it's at, there is very large lines of delineation between having something and having nothing. And if you want to look at Democrat policy, it breaks down like this. The inner cities are a shithole because they make the people rely on the U.S. government. If you want to look at red states and what they do wrong, they do not expand and move forward fast enough because of the Southern mentality. The reason why the South lost the Civil War is because they were not moving forward with times and relied on slave labor where innovation was solving problems. That mentality is continuing happening in the red states where they have a lack of healthcare, they have a lack of industry, they have a lack of innovation, and they have not embraced teaching their people how to do new things and new skills with the times, and they are adverse to change. These are the dichotomies of the two parties and what makes them good and what makes them bad. The problem is that in the red states, you can still live a meek and meager lifestyle. You may lose a few more teeth. You may break a few more bones. You may go on welfare more often than the blue states. But in the blue states, what happens is you have the haves and have-nots. And the disparity between those two are you fucking die in the streets because a gang member shoots you because you're selling crack on the corner. Or you go ahead and get someone pregnant for the umpteenth time and you have to rely on the government for the rest of your life. One is a woe is me, and the woe is, holy fuck, my life is over. That is the difference between the good and the bad of both parties. And there is nothing more prominent than in these universities where they teach that capitalism is the root of all evil, that the United States is a totalitarian government. These are complete lies. There's nothing further from the truth. We've went down a road, Mike, and I'm sorry.
No worries.
Go ahead.
So, and like just listening to all that, to me, it just screamed out choices. And for me, that boils down to your choice or not to actually go and vote on the local level, which is going to influence a lot of this.
Right.
If you choose to not vote, you let everyone else pick for you. Or if you want to vote whatever side you do, that's what's going to shape how all of this works out for you. But then within the home, the ideals that you instill in your children or the people that you choose to have around you, that's going to shape your child. But then it's, where do they pick to go to school? What do they choose to do? That is going to be the ultimate decider of how is that individual going to grow up, and what are they going to actually strive for or not strive for and rely on the government.
Good.
So to me, like, it boils down to your choice of like, do you actually want to put in the work to have a good community, have a society that you actually want to live in? Or are you going to be that person that's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm just going to do what everyone else does. I'm going to get that handout. I'm going to get my free money so I can sit here and freaking surf Twitter or whatever else that you want to do and be happy not having any money, living off of a government check and waiting for your WIC card to come in so you can go get some food and not have to do anything for it. And like, I don't understand where we got to this point to where that choice has always been like, you know what, I'm going to let somebody else do the work. And I'm not going to go out and support my family and be that person that someone can call, like, you know what, hey man, I need some help. Like, can you come over and do this? Or someone just says like, hey man, you know, I'm doing this. Hey, you need some help? And that's why I love where I live, because we have a very small group of friends that we're all like that. Most times you don't even have to ask. Like, there's somebody there. Or if you're walking down the street and you see someone doing a project outside, you just go over. Yeah. Like, hey, do you want help? If they don't want it, that's great. But you're going to be those neighbors that, you know what? You don't have to ask me, but I'm going to be here for you, no matter what it is. You can call me at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
We're going to be there.
Don't call Hillary. Olivia says that, and I apologize for going off, but you got to let me go in those times.
Oh, yeah,
because some of the best things that we do is when monopolating is what Amy calls that, the word that I made up. Monopolating.
You're mansplaining. You're matsplaining.
Matsplaining. Yes, matsplaining. You know what? I'm going to get a shirt that says matsplaining. So she calls that the No Child Left Behind Act is where this started. Everyone gets a trophy. My dad said it best. The world needs ditch diggers too. Mm-hmm. And that's from a movie with Ted Knight in Caddyshack, and it's true. The world needs ditch diggers too. It's true. And people are like, well, how can you blame that person? How can you hold them accountable for being not as smart as other people or not financial? I don't. But what I'm not going to do is try to make them something they're not either, because the investment of taking a complete idiot and giving them all the school books and all the lessons and all the tools and all the outfit and the look and the attitude, in the end, all you have is a motivated idiot. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing I can do about that. There's guys who score fucking 35s on the ASVAB who get shits to come in to mop decks, and they should never be allowed to do anything but mop decks. I'm sorry. Because you're not going to get smarter. You may get wiser, but you're not going to get smarter. Your brain is your brain. Your gifts are your gifts. And some people just, listen, that would be like saying, Mike, you and I need to be starting forwards for the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. Why?
Yeah, that's
diversity.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah, I would stand on your shoulders and we would still not be too short.
Yes.
The point is that that's the people are like, wait a second, that's bullshit. You're taking an extreme. Okay, you need to be a vice president for Apple.
Yeah, like
you need to be a district manager for Apple.
And this is why there's one Elon Musk. Like, and there's nothing wrong if you go out and you love flipping burgers, or you're really good at doing landscaping or whatever it is, and that's your niche and you love it. That's amazing.
Right.
Go out and do it.
Right.
But the fact's like, oh no, everyone needs this $200,000 job, and you need this college degree so you can do whatever. I'm like, no, guess what? Some of the smartest people I freaking know have zero college because they actually went out and learned through experience, and they taught themselves things, or they went and did an apprenticeship and learned all this stuff. They are the smartest freaking people I know.
Can I say something that's really controversial? And
okay. Oh, you never do that. So
we both need to move over a little because we need to be in the middle. I'm going to say something that people aren't going to like. And you know what? This is racist. You know what? Fuck you. If you think that this has race, there's a reason why hockey, I want you to listen to this. Shohei Ohtani, who is single-handedly the Babe Ruth of baseball, he is going to be the greatest baseball player ever to play the game, because he is not only a world-class pitcher, he's also an A world-class hitter.
Yep.
And he can play both sides of the ball. Now, is he worth $700 million? No. No. I don't care. I don't care if that guy makes the greatest fucking sushi rolls on the planet. That motherfucker ain't worth $700 million. There's nobody on the planet who's worth $700 million. There are people who are valued at that, and that is a completely different conversation. But nobody's worth $700 million. Like, if I pop that fool, will the world be less of a place? No. It just won't. Baseball will have the continue. Second and third and fourth place person have to make up for his slack. There's nobody. If you pop Bill Gates, is the whole world going to be less of a place? No, because I don't benefit from Bill Gates right now. I went through Windows 95 for fuck's sakes. It was the worst time of my life. That mother owes me a couple million. But my point is this. Shohei Ohtani makes $700 million now, but he deferred his contract. So now he's going to make $2 million per year for the next 9 years. And then they're going to give him $680 million on the last year of the contract. This allows the Los Angeles Dodgers to diversify their payroll and only have a $2 million player on the books so they can go spend another $80, $90 million and go ahead and get themselves a World Series team. Doesn't seem quite fair, does it?
No, but that's smart.
That's smart. It's because it's in the rules. But what isn't smart is that the highest paid player in hockey right now is Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid, which contracts are $100 million. 12 hockey teams could pay their entire salary and farm system salary on $700 million. To show you the disparity in hockey, the league minimum is like $245,000. Contract entry into the NHL is like $800,000 league minimum, $850,000. In Major League Baseball, the league minimum is upwards of $2.5 million. So you're talking a complete disparity. Now, I'll tell you why. Why has basketball went up? Why has football gone up? Why has baseball gone up? Holy fuck, why has even soccer gone up? But hockey has relatively stayed the same overall with payroll and has not increased since its inception. Now, you can't sit here and tell me it's not a big market. It's the fourth biggest sport in the country as far as television. It outplays golf. It outplays NASCAR. It outplays Major League Soccer, lacrosse. It is very, very second fiddle to football, baseball, and overall basketball. And I'm going to say it. You ready? Because you don't have the black population that's in NHL. And you can sit here and tell me that I am a racist, and I'll tell you to go fuck yourself. Because I'm not Howard Cosell literally saying, look at that little monkey run. That's racist. That's fucking racist. And that shit, he deserved to go. Even though Howard Cosell was one of the most respected commentators of all time and people loved him, that was really the first cancel culture. The guy fucking said something stupid and he got fired for it. I'm not saying something stupid. I'm saying something true. Now let me finish and tell you why. Because if you put a black player on skates versus a white player, there really hasn't been any black player who's been able to compete with a white player in hockey since inception. Now, there's been some great black players. Don't get me wrong. I can go through the litany of who they are, but none of them have been over the top great like white players. Now, if you go ahead and you allow hockey to be a sport that can be picked up by going and picking up a bat and a ball, and you just walk and play, and you bring that to the inner city, in the next 20 years, black people would absolutely overtake that sport as better athletes. And you can sit here and say that that's racist. Fuck you. I've got proof.
It's true.
Golf, basketball, baseball, football, lacrosse, soccer, women's sports, black players are the best. And the truth is that it just happens to be that people are different. And genetically, there is absolutely no lie when it comes to that African Americans excel at certain things in sports that white people can't do, from a jumping ability, from a speed ability to overall strength capability. That is the truth. So the reason why the NHL hasn't increased, because you don't have a disparity where you have a superstar like a white Connor McDavid is no longer the best there is, where you look at baseball where Babe Ruth was the Connor McDavid and now Babe Ruth probably couldn't even hit a fucking fastball. That process has not taken place in the NHL. And you can call it racism. It's not racism. It happens at the youth level because it's so fucking expensive to get your child into hockey. It is an ungodly price, and they don't bring it into the inner city because the inner city doesn't have a lot of ice rinks, and they don't get very cold. I'm going to go ahead and skate on my street. That's why rollerblading, you started seeing a lot of California talent come out because they could actually put on a pair of rollerblades and get the same effect and translate to skate. So you started seeing American players be successful, and now they're starting to bring it into impoverished neighborhoods, and you will see a larger ethnic diversity in hockey. The reason I bring this up is because not everything has to be racist to make sense, but nobody will have that conversation. There's not a sportscaster in the world who will say what I just said, even though it's 100% the truth.
100%.
Mike, go ahead.
Well, and that's where like the captain of my sled hockey team, he is a black man from Mississippi. And I've had this conversation with him that we were both at the hospital at the same time, and that's when my team was being created. And they originally came to him, and it's like, hey, would you want to play on this team? Do you want to come try it out? And the first thing he said is like, I'm a black man from Mississippi. Like, why would I play this? Like, hockey's not a thing that we do.
Right.
And like that was his first impression. It's like, no, we don't do this. And once he actually went and gave it a try, found out that he loved it and it's amazing. But we are lucky that we have an organization that will help us get gear to get into this. Because as Matt said, like, it is freaking expensive.
It's incredibly expensive.
And like a pair of my hockey sticks, which we break all the time, is $250 for 2 sticks.
Yeah, it's $5,000 a year for a kid to play hockey.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, it is cost prohibitive for a lot of freaking people to do this. So yeah, if you're going to take this an area where everyone is going to need to be subsidized to do this, like, it is ridiculous. So yeah, like, that is a very prevalent thing of, no, this is not what we do. Guess what? When I grew up in Arizona, lacrosse is a thing that none of us did because that was an East Coast preppy thing to do. And now that has slowly built up to where folks out in Arizona and the West Coast are doing it more. So yeah, eventually I can see it going that way. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of donors, and these NHL teams that don't have a lot of money to begin with, pumping a lot of money into their states and wherever they're at to build up these programs to get it there. But again, it's one of those, do they want to use the money in order to 20 years down the road continue to build this sport up like Ovechkin and Crosby did 20 years ago to get the sport popular? Now they need another group of folks to come in and do that on a grander scale.
That's right. And the players are doing, instead of taking knees like everyone else did and doing nothing for the community, hockey players banded together through Dumba, who was a player for the Minnesota Wild at the time, and a few other black players like Nazem Kadri, who's a Muslim, but he is considered African-American, which is... he's a Muslim. He's not African-American, but they had him there because he represented the diversity, and I think his mother is African-American. It doesn't matter. The point is, they committed to giving money back to their states and building rinks and putting money and parts of their paychecks. And the entire NHLPA came together and said, we're going to donate 0.03% or 0.30% of all of our income to building rinks for kids. And now you're starting to see more black players and Asian players and Mexican players enter very minor junior hockey. In the next 10 years, hockey is going to change the face of its sport. You're going to see more diverse players, and that's what it needs. It needs to relate to black people. Now, do I want to fucking hear Tupac being played on the intro song? Do I want to see goal celebrations where people smoke blunts and do a 40? No. Keep that fucking shit out of my sport. Keep it hockey. Yep. Keep it humble. Keep it the way it's supposed to be. Keep it clean. Keep the domestic violence and the drug use out of my fucking sport. You know, keep the thug mentality out of my sport. But for people who are like, we don't want that black thug mentality in hockey, they fucking fist fight. What are you talking about? You hire thugs.
This is the only sport that actually polices themselves.
Right.
And the sport allows you to do that. Like, if you have a player get out of line, guess what? You're going to get messed up.
That's
or
right.
if you chicken shit out, one of your players is going to take that beating for you. And then you got to deal with that in the locker room.
Hockey was better with Mike Greer in it. Hockey was better with fucking McSorley in it. It was better with Ty Domi in it. And yes, one of those players is black. And I can name all the black players who play. And guess what? When Mike Greer was on the ice, you didn't fuck around because that guy would punish you in the next Tuesday. I am all for bringing every race, color, creed into hockey because guess what? We're already the most diverse sport in America. I'm letting you know. It's got more Canadians, English, Czechoslovakians, Russians. You've got Japanese players. You've got Mexican players. You've got Muslims. You've got Jews. You have homosexuals who are openly open. The first gay player was a hockey player. So hockey is one of the most diverse sports in the world. And if you want to see what diversity truly looks like based on skill and not based on the color of your skin or your racial disposition, hockey is it. So out of one side of my mouth, I'm telling you what will happen if they make hockey affordable for all people. And if they do, it'll be dominated by black players in the next 20 years. Watch. It's happened in every other sport. It's the way it works. Also, when you look at Puerto Ricans and Cubans, you look for pitching in baseball. Most prominent pictures are from Puerto Rico, from Cuba. And why? Well, because they play two-way baseball there because they don't have enough players. These players pitch, they hit, and they play both sides of the ball. And they learn each position in sports. Some of the best utility players come from South American countries. So now Little League, everybody plays every position. They don't make someone pitch and only pitch. They learn that. And the United States and other countries are catching up. This isn't about sports. It's about we can take things that we've learned in completely separate topics and apply that to our country and our society. Who people are doing it right. The military and sports are two areas where they've done many great things when it comes to creating a very open and not an equity-based, but a merit-based system.
Now, what's the one big thing that kind of all brings that together? Those folks that are coming from Cuba, South America, or in Europe for hockey, the one thing that they all have is they put in the work.
Yeah.
They knew that if they wanted to get out of that area or if they wanted to play at that elite level, they actually had to do the time, put in the work, and get to that skill level where they needed so they would be seen by the NHL, the NBA, and all these other sports leagues. But they actually sat there and they did it and they got to level. Guess what? Now they get the fruits of their labor.
That's right.
Instead of the folks that are like, you know what? You need to hand me this because of the color of my skin. Or you know what? I deserve this, so you should give it to me. Like, okay, tell me why.
Yeah.
Do you have that 100-mile-an-hour fastball? Can you run as fast as you like? All these things that you could have done to set yourself up for success and you didn't do it. You wanted that freaking handout. Well, all these kids, guess what? They don't get handouts.
That's right.
They get the work. They put the blood, sweat, and tears into what they're doing. And then maybe they have an opportunity to get it. And the lucky few that actually get it, those are going to be the most humble people. And those are going to be the people you actually want in America. Because that's what's actually going to drive us forward in a positive way and not this victim bullshit where it's like, you know
Amen.
what? I want my trophy just because I deserve it. Like, no, you don't. What did you do?
That's right.
Tell me what you did to actually deserve that. Because if you did, then you would be in that Stanley Cup or you would be in that Super Bowl. And then you get to prove that you can be a team. You've put in the work. And then if everything goes right and you do enough, you can get that trophy, but not by just someone handing it to you.
Well said. Sorry for monopolizing some time. Here's the SNL video. By the way, 988. Thomas is talking about this. This is Veteran Crisis Hotline. It is now expanded into Canada.
Oh, wow.
So if you are a veteran, 988, and then you press 1, you'll be connected directly to a Veteran Crisis Hotline operator. I don't know if it's called VCL up in Canada, but 988 is the same number. It is for suicide awareness. So if you're a veteran, if you're in Canada, and even if you're not a veteran, it doesn't matter. Nobody will be turned away. They are all about mental health. So use 988. Here is the SNL portion of the video that we've been talking about. We want to show it to you. It is cringeworthy. I'm not playing all 6 minutes.
You're watching C-SPAN. Later, is Taylor Swift now dating Marco Rubio? But first, testimony from 3 university presidents on the subject of anti-Semitism on college campuses.
Order, please. Thank you. We're joined today by the heads of 3 of our most esteemed universities, the president of MIT, Sally Kornbluth.
I've never been more afraid to be anywhere.
The president of UPenn, Elizabeth McGill.
Can I just resign now?
Not yet. And the president of Harvard, Dr. Claudine Gay.
Thank you.
Dr. Gay, would you like to do a quick joke about your name to get it out of the way?
I would. Dr. Gay sounds like a Molly dealer on Fire Island.
Thank you. Now I'll turn it over to mega superstar Elise Stefanik from New York, who's been pacing the hallways listening to Lose Yourself by Eminem. Miss Stefanik.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Now, I'm going to start screaming questions at these women like I'm Billy Eichner. Anti-Semitism, yay or nay?
I'm sorry, what?
Yes or no is calling for the genocide of Jews against the Code of Conduct for Harvard.
Well, it depends on the context.
What? That can't be your answer, you pen lady. Same question, yes or no?
Well, we are serious about stopping all forms of hatred, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia.
And then the second one, MIT lady, chance to steal. And keep in mind, if you don't say yes, you're going to make me look good, which is really, really hard to do. So I'll ask you straight up. Do you think genocide is bad?
Could I submit an answer in writing at a later date?
Am I winning this hearing? Somebody pinch me.
Ms. Stefanik, your time is up.
Oh, thank God.
The chair recognizes gentleman from Michigan.
Thank you. I yield my time back to Ms. Stefanik.
Damn it.
I am here today because hate speech has no place on college campuses. Hate speech belongs in Congress, on Elon Musk's Twitter, in private dinners with my donors, and in public speeches by my work husband, Donald Trump. So, Dr. Gay, simple question. Is it acceptable for students to use anti-Semitic language?
On this subject, I'd like to speak not from the heart, but from the thesaurus. That type of hateful speech is personally abhorrent to me.
And could you rephrase that in an even more academic way?
Sure. That variety of odious oration is vis-a-vis me repugnant.
Now, what measures are you taking to protect Jewish students at Harvard?
We're taking precautions to protect all students. Jewish students, Muslim students.
Oh, do all students matter?
Again.
Wait, you totally stole my thunder. Take it, dude, because that's a genius.
Oh, yes, all students matter here. We don't want to just call out one specific
That's
group.
racist.
It's racist to that. So, you know what, all students matter. We need to protect everybody. Like, oh, wait a minute.
If one student's house is on fire and all the other students' houses aren't on fire, we should focus on the Jewy Jews house, that shifty little curly-haired Jew, their house that's on fire versus everyone else. I mean, that's what we should focus. It's not racist in any way, shape, or form, because Jews aren't a race. They're hardly even a people, according to some. So
apparently they're not.
So it's okay.
Yes.
I mean, if they were actually a people and not Satan's spawn, then we could take care of them. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, that is the greatest line ever, Mikey. And I'm like, so all lives matter now?
Yes. No, all students matter. All students matter.
All students matter.
But not if you're Jewish. But everyone else matters.
Isn't it interesting that I've already talked about this with anti-Semites is it's not just Jews. I mean, anti-Semitic and overall Sumerian language-based area of the Middle East where multiple people speaking a certain language with a certain belief system are considered Semitic people. But stop splitting fucking hairs. You know what it means. When you say anti-Semite, you don't like Jews. But these people surf this line and they play games with this and pretend that it's acceptable as long as you say, well, it's free speech.
Yes.
It's not. And here's the thing that I will say. Are Jews being systematically lynched on campus? No. Are they being drugged behind pickup trucks? Are they being raped and thrown into a creek? No. Are they not allowed in certain places? No. So if you sit here and say Jews are whining and crying and real oppression was what happened to black people, no, what you're saying is that because these folks had it worse, that their feelings don't matter. That's like saying a woman was raped, but was there penetration? No. Her blouse was ripped, her bra was ripped, her underwear were torn off, and somebody used their hand, but that's not really rape because women have went through penetration with a penis, so therefore that's worse. So therefore their victimization isn't the same. That is the dumbest fucking argument I've ever heard. Rape is rape. Hate is hate. There is no gray area. You can't kind of hate somebody. You can't kind of oppress people. You either do it or you don't. And when you sit here and say that there was no pro-Palestinian rallies on these campuses or in these cities, and then all of a sudden they murder 1,600 some odd people, behead women, rape women, drag their bodies, take hostages, kill children, and now you're coming out and you're going to have a rally. That means you're not pro-Palestinian. You're pro-fucking Hamas.
Yes.
You're pro-killing of Jews. Because that's like, once again, coming out and supporting ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the Muslim Brotherhood after 9/11 and saying, we're supporting the Arab states. No, you're fucking not, you moron. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, no, and this is where people are like, oh no, this is what we were told by CNN. Like, guess what? Right after 9/11, we're not supposed to blame all Muslims. All Muslims are good. There's just a couple over here that are bad.
Yeah.
Same thing. This, guess what? All students matter. But these little Jewish folks, we don't have to worry about them. But don't worry, it's only Black Lives Matter. It's not all lives matter, because that's racist, because that's what Donald Trump said once. So
here's the question, Mike. The Jewish community predominantly votes Democrat. They are willingly alienating a very large demographic in the United States.
And a very wealthy.
Versus why? Why are the now let's go and do next level George Bush math here. Let's play 4D chess. Why are they taking the sides of Arabs versus Jews? Simple. Would love to hear why.
Well, I mean, for me, in the long run, they think that the Arabs are going to play out. They've got the oil money. They've got the money behind them. So if the United States, for whatever reason, stops supporting Israel, they're done. They can't do it by themselves. The Arab nations will wipe them out. And guess what? Now they have an ally that I don't know why you would want to get behind it, but now they have someone that they have supported and can get behind for the long run. So it's one of those, like, the United States somehow flips and doesn't support Israel anymore, that's done.
Here's my question, and this is going to take up the remainder of our time because I think this is the most important question that I can ask. Right now, practicing Arabs in the United States, Muslims, 1.5 million in the U.S. Does that number sound correct to you?
That sounds about right.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's going to triple in the next.
It's actually 3.5 million.
Okay.
It's interesting because when you think of that, you're like, wait a second, that number is small, but that increase has been over the last 15 years.
Yes.
So after 9/11, you had a very stagnant Muslim population, but over the last 10 years, 15 years, you've seen an increase in Muslims inside the United States. 3.5 million. There's 8 million Jews. Does that number sound right? Or does that sound low?
I was going to say it kind of sounded high, but
8 million.
8 million.
8 million, 7.5 million to be exact.
But that's one of those, it's all these refugees we're bringing in that a large portion of them are from Arab nations, and they bring them all into Minneapolis or down in Florida. They bring all these Arabs in, and the one thing that the Muslims do very well is they repopulate.
Go ahead. No, please. I interrupted you. Please go.
Well, no, it's their religion is all about actually dominating and continuing to repopulate and get their word out there, so that way they are the dominant religion. They're not willing to co-locate's not the right word.
Coalesce?
Coalesce with Christianity and Judaism. They want to be the ruling religion, and they're going to do anything and everything under their power to do it. So guess what? As this population continues in the U.S., guess who they're going to push out? It's going to be the Jewish population first, and then it's going to be Christianity.
Let me, do you mind?
Go for it.
I'm going to tell you what the Democrats are doing, and you will not hear this anywhere else because nobody's said it. And this is where I need to write stuff down and make news articles, because that's where the rubber meets the road. It's real hard to catalog all your shows. Democrats and all politicians do three things: money, power, votes. So when you look at this, why would Democrats support open illegal immigration? Because the amount of legal immigrants into this country are not as large as illegal immigrants in this country.
Free votes when they all naturalize.
Right. Why would they embrace the LGBT community up to 10 years ago be against gay marriage and against LGBTQ rights. But why would Obama shift in 2012 to be the party that all of a sudden is inclusive? Well, because the demographic that they reached eclipsed 1.7% and started moving up in the 3.5% to 4% range, which became a very large voting demographic. It became like the 7th largest voting demographic in the United States. So of course you're going to openly bring in the gay and lesbian community. And once it expanded to transsexuals, bisexuals, QS, two-spirit, fucking BIPOC, you open up a wider net of votes. So if we know that Democrats ultimately do what's the best for them for votes, and there's 7.5 million Jews in the United States, and they roughly have most of that voting demographic, why would they alienate them to go to Muslims who are only 3.5 million of the overall voting demographic? And if you can answer this, I'll give you a free set of steak knives because I already know the answer. Who wants to answer it? Why? Why would they alienate a larger voting demographic when Democrats never do that? They always go with the side of votes that are going to give them the best return in elections.
Because in 10 years, they will have those votes beat.
That's good. That's a really good idea because I believe that's where the overall corporations are moving towards because they realize the younger generation. But no, that's not the answer. Because they're going to have an immediate return on this. This 2024 election is the most important election of Democrats' lives and Republicans. 2 SCOTUS seats will be replaced here. More legislation from Roe v. Wade, Second Amendment, First Amendment, privacy. This is the biggest election. Everyone says that every year. This is the one. This is artificial intelligence, robots, fucking automation, where we go with public education. Mike, why are they supporting Arabs and allowing the continued anti-Jew rhetoric to come out of their party? Think about this. Does anyone know? And I'm gonna put you on the clock, 30 seconds. Does anyone have it? If you're willing to call in, call in. Thomas says there's also money from the Islamic OPEC nations. No, that's always been there. Republicans have that seized. Republicans have that. They have the OPEC oil industry, Arab community locked in, and predominantly in Texas. Politicians. Okay, someone's calling. Let's see what they say. Where are you from?
Hey, Matt. How you doing? It's Kyrie.
What's up, dude?
Hey, so I had a couple of questions to ask, right?
Can't do questions right now. We're asking the questions. Why is it that Democrats are supporting Muslim countries, getting behind the narrative of pro-Palestine, and alienating an 8 million person demographic in the Jewish American voters versus the 3.5 million in the Muslim community? Why are they doing that? And there is a 2-part answer. Do you have the answer to that question?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but what Mike said earlier, I think there's a lot of plausibility in that in terms of the influence of the oil and and the power grab that comes with that.
No,
in my humble opinion.
Opinion is great, but the facts will tell you is that the large oil-rich tycoons of the Arab nations are Republican-based. They have no desire. Joe Biden has alienated Iran, alienated Saudi Arabia, alienated Morocco, alienated South America. True. This isn't about that. So it's a good try. Do you have another one? And then I'm going to kick you off because I only have a few more minutes. I really want to get to this because this is super important.
I don't really have. I don't really have. Yeah, I just thought that what Mike said was that. But apparently not. I wouldn't have the slightest clue what their motivation is or what their strategy is behind that.
Cool. Stay on, and then we're going to address it real quick. I'm not going to kick you off. Just stay on, and I'm going to mute your line real quick, okay? And then I'm going to give you an answer, and then you can tell me what you think. Cool?
Sure.
Okay. Can everyone hear him? Okay. Let me know. All right. So I think everyone can hear you. But let me go ahead and answer the question. And I don't mean to set it up and say, hey, I'm right and you're wrong. Because once I say it, you're going to understand. Okay. The Muslim population has moved away from Democrats. If you looked at what happened over the last year when it came to school boards and all the Muslim parents that were openly against the LGBTQ transition and teachings inside schools, from the flags to the choice of changing your sexual identity. The Muslims came out and spoke out in a very large majority in the country. So if you weren't familiar with that, you can go back and look up the articles. There hundreds of thousands of Muslims have switched to Republican Party. It's one of the most single-handedly largest demographic that are now registered either independent or Republican based upon the school board issues and the transgender movement. That's number one. Here's the second thing. Jews, like the African-American community and the minority communities in the city, will always vote Democrat. The industries that are predominantly associated with liberal policy, the Jews are nested in, from legal to entertainment industry, et cetera, et cetera. The Democrats are making a calculated risk that they are not going to get Florida Jews back who did vote for Donald Trump, and that Florida 27 out of 29 districts are red and they don't see those bellwethers changing to blue. They have surrendered the fact that they're going to lose those votes, but they also surrender to the fact that the other 6.5 million Jews who will vote Democrat. So they are willing to move into the Arab Khalib and gain a large portion and try to appease the fuck up they made by getting back in the favor of the Muslim people so they vote. That is a very large push of what Democrats are doing. This is all about numbers. This is all about optics. And even the Jews who in 79 voted Democrat, even with Jimmy Carter and the failure in Iran, you can look at every single major Democrat presidential candidate who promised to recognize the sovereignty of Jerusalem and name it to Israel did not do that. You can look at the history of standing behind Barack Obama completely breaking off relationships with Israel, recognizing and getting into bed with Iran, giving money to Iran, which was used against Israel, which was used with Hamas and the JIB and everyone else who was using terrorism against Israel. The stasis of the Jewish vote is so strong, you can't really identify the reason why, that I believe Democrats don't care because they don't believe it's going to impact the overall Jewish vote. That's why this decision is made.
Now that you say that, it's the Muslim population in a lot of these swing states. Even if it's 2% or 3%, that's enough.
Yep.
That they can lose a couple thousand votes on the Jewish side, but if they can gain that really changes something.
Yeah, show them that map. Send me that over there so we can share that map. So he's absolutely right. This impacts key demographics. 3.5 million votes would be a huge swing. He's right. If you can swing 10% of that, you're talking 350,000 votes. That could turn some of these swing states. This is chess, not checkers. These are political strategies and political moves that the Democrats are betting on black, that Jews will still show up for them no matter what they do. Because in the history of the Jewish population, they show up for Democrats no matter what they do, no matter how much they abuse them, no matter how much they abandon them. This is the truth. Here's the map. Real quick, show you this, and then we'll go ahead and get this opinion, and then we'll bounce. See if I can get this zoomed in. So these are the swing counties in the Midwest and outskirts. You're going to have a lot of key areas. First of all, Michigan and Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a huge toss-up state. Yep. Look at the propensity of Muslims. And here, this is, you've got Rashid Tlaib or Ilhan Omar, who's Somalian in a lot of these areas. Take a look down in Florida. You've got large Arab populations. You've got large Arab populations in Texas. But take a look at Arizona.
Yep.
Zero.
Not happening.
Take a look at New Mexico. You have a lot of propensity of Muslim populations. So you look at some of the swing states down here in Georgia. You've got a little bit. You look up in the Beltway in Virginia. Look at the Muslim population in Virginia. That's incredible. West Virginia, none. So you can go up into Philadelphia. Large propensity here. Look at the Carolinas.
Definitely Philadelphia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what you're seeing here, and then the scariest is look at Ohio. So you've got a lot up in Ohio, right here and here, both states. So below Michigan, they're seeing a huge population. It's interesting.
I mean, once I saw that map, it really clicked for me. Like that actually
look
makes
at Iowa.
a lot of sense.
Look at Iowa coming down from. I mean, you're looking at Wisconsin making an impact into Iowa, Minnesota. Look at this. So you're talking a very large Muslim population up in the central north of the United States. That's indicative of what's happened over here in the West Coast, and indicative of what's happened over here in the East Coast. I mean, take a look at that. Isn't that crazy? So it's a great graphic. It definitely says a lot. But once again, to me, it screams that the Democrats are taking a risk on 10 years from now. I agree with you. I think it's a long game. But also it has short-term ROI, reasonable ROI. And I think that, like I said, the Israelis that they've lost, the Jews that they've already lost. And they're realizing, okay, we can either fight for those Jews in Florida, which we've already lost it, or we can start fighting for an area of the Muslim population, which is a growing demographic. In 10 years will be a huge voting base, and get on it early. This looks like the Democrat strategy to me. If Republicans were smart, they would make every single commercial focused in the most top 5 to 10 Jewish areas in the United States, and have nothing but Rashid Tlaib and Ilan Omar and AOC say they're anti-Semitic bullshit. All these college campuses that the Jewish people are sending their kids to, show them these anti-Semitic comments and do whatever they can to gain that 1.5 million some odd middle of the road Jewish voters in Florida and other countries to come over to the Republican side. This will be who fights over Muslims and Jews will be the large fight in 2024, trying to get that 3% of that demographic, which could turn the election. All right, sorry about that, man. Go ahead. It's Kyrie, is that right?
That's right, Matt. Yeah. By the way, very brilliant analysis, and it's really on point, and you can't really argue with many of those. If you remember, the first time that I came on your show, one of the narratives that I told you was that as a Muslim, I find myself a lot more in line with people in the right, simply because of certain values that, well, they have in schools and what they want to do in their bedrooms and things of that nature. So it's sort of like, you know what, that all makes sense, especially in the way that you broke it down from a macro sense. I'm now understanding it from my own micro sense in my everyday living. So I thought that was really brilliant on your part. And by the way, you're absolutely right about trying to attract, these two groups right into the conservative side, simply because of, these things that they just simply stand against. I mean, look what they're doing in the schools, right? Like, this is not something that you want to raise your kids under, especially if you're a God-fearing person. So I thought that was brilliant on your part. And by the way, Matt, I've been listening to some of your life stories, and I think that somebody like you is really important in this thought movement, right? Because you're very relatable. For example, I would have never imagined that you would have been involved with, let's say, California gangs and whatnot. I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's referencing Norteños, Bloods and Crips. He knows he's with it.
Serenos 13.
He's with it, and on MS-13s, yes.
No.
And by the way, I had
no. Serenos 13, Holmes. Serenos 13, not MS-13. That's a whole nother gang. But anyway, yeah, man. I was the white boy who grew up with gangs, and that was something that I was involved in because I didn't have a choice. But if you looked at photographs of me when I was younger, I swear to God, man, I tan up like a crazy guy. But yeah, I went to a school that was predominantly gang ridden, and I had a lot of black influence in my life, but a lot of Hispanic.
And that makes you relatable. That makes you very relatable because, well, not only relatable, but truly diverse.
Listen, I can walk you through any inner city in America and not feel fear, because I know how to walk in any inner city in America and not feel fear. It's the people who goose step. It's the people who don't show deference and respect. I wouldn't do that in a foreign country either. I've been into some areas in foreign countries where most Americans would be taken out and behind an alleyway and shot or beheaded, and feel comfortable walking in those areas. Now, certainly not safe, but knowing what the threat is, and knowing that there's something about my walk where people would go, you know what, there's something that I don't want to fuck around with that person, and then I look at them and go, I don't want to fuck around with that person. It's a mutual respect. But it's a difference between street smarts and book smarts. Anyway, I appreciate the compliments. I don't consider myself diverse in that sense, because in the end, I've always been able to leave. And true diversity is, yeah, I didn't grow up with carpet. Yes, my parents were poor. Yes, I had to grow up in areas that were run by the barrio, but I was always white. And that's probably the best thing in the movie The Soul Man with C. Thomas Howell. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. He's a white kid who can't get into Harvard, so he takes a bunch of tanning pills and gets Jerry curl and gets in on a black scholarship. And in the end, it's him and James Earl Jones having a conversation, and he's like, I take it you learned a great deal from your experience, as he's now white and it's months later and they're allowing him to stay in school. And C. Thomas Howell's like, yeah, I did. And he's like, you know, I went to jail, I went to prison, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, well, it seems like you've learned a great deal. And he goes, yes, I have. And he's like, well, now you know what it's like to be black. And C. Thomas Howell says, no, because at any time I could have not been black and left. And he goes, you've learned a great deal more than I anticipated, you know, a great deal more than I thought. And it's the truth. So just because you grow up or you live in or could possibly relate to what a sexual abuse victim has gone through, or what somebody who's homosexual has gone through, whatever, it doesn't mean that you all of a sudden inherit the trauma that those people have went through. What it hopefully does is allow you to express your own trauma and explain to them the things that you've went through, and use each other's stories to find a way to manipulate it into a common good. The issue is that we're always on like fucking karma or trauma jeopardy in this country. It's always one-upping each other. And, you know, I'll take the daily double for 200. Oh, yeah, well, my trauma's worth, it's 300. And somehow there's a point system for how much trauma you've gone through merits value on who you are. And I think that's ridiculous. Otherwise, Mike would be much better looking than me.
Well, and see, that's the thing is everyone is trying to one-up everyone else, being like, you know what, we can understand other people, but we don't have to be like, oh, well, now I totally get it. I'm like, I'm never going to get it. Like, right. I don't get where you grow up and how that was. Like, that's very different than how I grew up. And I can empathize and I can listen to those stories, but I'm never truly going to understand it.
Right.
So it's one of those, like, you're not going to change people. You're not going to be that person just because you heard one story from them, but that's okay. That we can all take our experiences and move forward in a way that we can all live together. And it's okay that we don't fully understand how they grew up or why they do certain things, but that's what makes us all great. We're not all freaking robots doing the same goddamn thing.
Let me ask you a question. So here, I'm going to give you guys an example of how this plays. Okay. All right. Mike, Navy boot camp was so hard.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So you got to wait a second before you, so difficult.
Sorry, go ahead.
So hard. It was so tough. And we had to qual with 22 rifle M16s from 50 yards away.
I'm surprised they actually gave you rounds and they weren't rubber rifles.
Right. So we're going to finish. We had to do push-ups and had to abandon ship. And it was the longest 6 weeks of our life. And it's, you know, I know you can relate since I went to a boot camp similar to you. Okay, go.
Oh, Jesus. Actually, I'll tell you the story. There was a guy, he was a Army officer. Biggest tool bag I've ever met in my life. He was in Iraq, and because of some injury, like he fell on the O course and started blacking out and didn't tell anybody. So he went to Iraq, kept blacking out, and they medevaced him back to the States. And for whatever reason, he was telling this story to a bunch of vets, and I was there. But as he said it, he turned to me and he's like, oh yeah, you know, I got medevaced. Oh yeah, you know what that's like, right? And it's like, bro, I want to kill you right now. You really want to compare your, oh, I black out because you had something wrong with your head that you didn't go check, to someone who got blown up. And like, I didn't have my legs, I couldn't walk back. You fucking walked on the plane getting back. And there's another guy that he was an amputee, but he lost it because he fell off a truck. He didn't get shot. He didn't get blown up, and he felt embarrassed about it. So he always tried to fit in with everybody else. But it's like, bro, none of us give a shit. We're all in a shitty situation. We all are missing limbs, or we got shot or paralyzed, like whatever happens. Like, it doesn't matter. We're all in this together to try to help each other. Like, you don't have to try to fit into the crowd. Like, be you, be the person that you are, and we're either going to accept you if you're cool and you want to hang out, or if you're a douchebag, we're not, and go play in the corner. It doesn't matter. All this shit doesn't matter. You can be any race, any religion you want. If you come together and we can at least be symbiotic, like, that's great. If you want to be a douchebag, then fuck around and find out.
That's right. It's the best analogy I can make, because the point is even though Mike could sit there all day long and say, dude, you're a complete idiot, he's like, we don't care. And you can't litigate trauma. Trauma is trauma. And that's why I always say reserve parking for military is always open, because we already know that there's somebody who's experienced more. So we just don't park there. It's very similar to that. So there's always somebody who knows more karate. There's always somebody who's smarter. There's always somebody who's better looking. It's just the way it is. And shut up, Mike. And you can think about all those things as somehow that it makes you better, but it doesn't. And what would be nice is, and I'll end with this, as people, is instead of trying to tear that person down who's so ignorant, how about you tell them they're ignorant? Hey, listen, man, I know you got medevaced on a chopper, but that's where our similarities end. And you already fit in. You wouldn't be talking about this with me if you didn't fit in. So why do you feel you need to compare your trauma with mine when I don't give a shit? When I'm just happy you're here sitting in front of me. If you don't teach that person a lesson and you just sit there and you just mute yourself, then you're at fault then. The old adage of you own the 3 feet around you and the influence it makes. You own that space. And if you see something that's unjust, or you see someone say something that's stupid, if you choose to ignore it, you're not ignoring it, you're accepting it. And you're allowing it to take place. This is why people get upset when I go off on tangents to viewers sometimes. You will not say that shit in my chat if it's a lie or it's wrong or you're defaming somebody. Because if I allow you to do that, then I am saying that it's okay. And this is the difference between me and the Groypers. They will say anti-Jewish hate shit and things against black people and use words that are considered abhorrent in our society, and I will not allow them to. That's the difference between me and them. So set yourself apart by holding not just yourself to a high standard, but those around you. And if you do that, you'll be a better person, we'll be a better society. Mike, wrap it up. And then Kyrie, you can have a minute.
Kyrie, go for it.
Kyrie, you got a minute, go.
Yeah, so the two questions I really wanted to ask you, Matt, because I really needed to know this, right?
12 inches and the same around. I'm hung like a coffee can.
And he's great liar. Great liar.
Wasn't that...
Oh,
wasn't that kind of question?
I'll wait for your question.
So,
go ahead.
Okay, so recently I saw on YouTube Suge Knight, right, calling from his jail cell to basically do a podcast, right? And my question with that, also to kind of tie the subject matters of the show, why do you think, let's say, the African-American gangs in L.A. are no longer the dominant force, and why is it MS-13 and, let's say, other international groups? That's the first question. The second question is, why do you think that Hamas has more of a mainstream following than, let's say, AQ or Daesh, i.e. Islamic State? Those were my two questions that I wanted to know. Okay,
so I'll give you my quick answers on each. Is the reason why Mexican gangs, predominantly cartel-based gangs and street gangs, are a couple of things. Predominantly, there are levels of where somebody is willing to go. And although the African-American gangs, Rolling 60, Bloods, Crips, 21st Street, whatever, are willing to commit atrocities and to commit murder and to do horrible things.
Not on that level.
Not on that fucking level. MS-13 is, first of all, the numbers that they have the infiltration that they have, the network of funding that they have, but the fact that they are willing to cross a line. This is very much a difference between the Cali cartel and other cartels that have been prominent, is how far they're willing to go and what they're willing to do to not give a fuck. African-American gangs, Hispanic gangs in the United States still are American-based people. They still are afraid of losing their freedom and not going to prison. And it is just a completely different type of mentality. So one is more ruthless than the other. That's the answer to that question, and abundant than the other. And also their drug supply. Crack cocaine was a very large supply. It's been changed to methamphetamines, opiates, cocaine, marijuana isn't even what it used to be. So a lot of the low-level drug gangs are not being utilized because pharmaceutical industry is a lot more profitable. So that's the answer to that question. Number two, you asked me, is why is Hamas more prevalent than other lower-end terrorist groups? And I can tell you that Hamas isn't the most well-known. They're the most well-known right now because they are on the national media and have perpetrated something that was horrendous. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hezbollah, these are predominantly the most well-known in the media, and Hamas has been added. Now the Houthis are also added to this. But when you look at Hamas, they're actually one of the most least influential terrorist groups in the world, and they're kind of Iran's freshman team. They're the bench. Hezbollah is the number one highest funded group that Iran backs. The Houthis, JIB, other groups like this are also extremely well funded. But Hamas, they constantly hit Israel, and that's extremely popular. It's sexy, and it's being put on the news because there's a large demographic, and Christian conservatives love Jews. Let's be honest. I mean, Christian conservatives are the biggest demographic who support and are cheerleaders for the Jewish population. So it's in the best interest to talk about these things. Last thing I'll say is a lot of these other smaller groups don't have the funds or the capability to do something as large and prolific as what Hamas did. You have to be in power. You have to be, Hezbollah is a government type power. So is Hamas. And if you look at, going into Afghanistan and you want to look at the Taliban, also had government-based ties and could make very large, well-funded, and strategic organizational attacks that were profound and would give them notoriety. These other groups don't have the capability. That's my answer. Mike, do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you already hit it on the head with it's this sexy thing right now. It is what is going to get propped up in the media. So that's what they're going to be able to use. Like, it's the same thing when Boko was doing the when they kidnapped all the schoolgirls, and I think it was like 16 or 17. That was the big thing at that time, and no one had heard of them before that because they just needed that one high-profile thing that people can latch onto and get the ratings. Right. But what that also does is that motivates those folks that are leaning that way to get those foreign fighters, to get those donations. So that's all we're doing is, yes, we're showing the atrocities and the horrible shit they did, but then we're also getting them increased funds, money, and support on the back end, not realizing it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's a twofold thing for all that.
Fair enough. Anything else on that? All right, guys, girls, listen, thanks for calling, man. I appreciate it, Kyrie. We'll talk to you next time, man. Thanks for participating in the show.
Yep, we'll see you.
Loretta, I want to say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Instagram for listening and following. I think we lost you at the last minute there. I want to apologize. I closed the window like a dumbass, but it was good to have you on. Spreely TV listeners, once again, I think we extended it 30 minutes, so we are okay. Mike, thanks for joining. It's good to have you back. We knew this one was going to be a little long. I like the 10 and 12 o'clock hour.
Yeah, no, I think that's working pretty good.
We had more consistent. Rumble was booming. Facebook was, 75 to 100. I think once we get the new time established, that will be more consistent. So thanks for watching the Donut and Friendly Show. You folks, if you could do me a favor, stop by the Donut and Friendly Show. You can pick up cool shirts, one Mike's wearing, the one I'm wearing, and get some coffee, get some mugs.
And
great coffee.
To do Olivia's part, Go over to Facebook and hit subscribe.
YouTube.
Send it to all your friends. Oh, sorry. Yes, YouTube. My bad. See, I already messed it up. YouTube, hit it. We're trying to hit 1,000. We're getting close. Share it out for us if you can.
Yeah. James Cote says the biggest grifter ever. I don't know if that's about me. James, it's hard for me to believe that you would say that since you've been a fan of the show, I think, for a while. But grifter usually has some sort of criminal enterprise or malfeasance. When I always ask people when they call me a grifter, please tell me how I solicited or elicited illegal funds. And nobody can answer that question because I haven't. So I don't qualify as a grifter. A blowhard? Yes. Most assuredly. Folks, thanks for watching. We will be on tomorrow night live. I'll have this podcast of this episode up on Spreaker, and then we will have a recorded show tomorrow. So Matt and Mike saying good night, good day, good afternoon. We'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you guys. Enjoy it.
Yeah, maybe.
Enjoy the cold. It's amazing out there.
Wait, the cold or the cold?
Cold. The cold.
It is getting a little
it's
chilly.
it's a little nipply outside.
It's a little chilly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the. Wait, you always wear shorts, and you're saying it's cold?
I always do, and I have completely failed. I haven't done one here. I didn't do one the entire time. I'm sorry. I apologize.
And that's the one you pick.
That's the one I pick. That's
All right,
where we're
let's
going.
go out.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.